Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 97 of Concede, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. My name is Kenny, and I go by KCCO Gamer, and all the way from Thunder Bluff, Louisiana, we have Cinder.
Hello there.
And from the Maelstrom, Louisiana, we have Appa.
How's it going?
And joining us from Gadgetzland, New York, we have Ridiculous Hat.
Still have the best deals.
And all the way from Orgrimmar, Illinois, we have Cora.
Hi, guys.
Nostalgia.
Oh, man.
What was it like listening to the beginning, the intro music there for you?
It's been a really long time. I'm not gonna lie. It's really good to be back, and even better to not be in my basement because it's very cold down there. And now I got my sweet recording set up upstairs, so lots has changed. But it's great to be back with y'all again.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you.
I'm having nostalgia from when I started the show and now. I feel like the bridge between like the old guard of Concede and the new.
Yeah, pretty much.
So much has changed since we started this show.
It's nice to have you back. So much has changed, and some of the stuff that's changed now, we actually let her know about this beforehand. So Concede is supported in a large part by you, the listener. But if you'd like to find out how you can monetarily support us, or if you'd like to receive rewards in return, head into patreon.com/CoinConcede and check that out. We're going to be updating that again here soon because we've met all our goals. So we need to set new ones. So this is a point where we actually talk a little bit about our recent ladder, and then we'll go into a little bit of coaching. We don't have much news this week, but I mean, what else is there other than the expansion? So we'll go ahead and start with that. So Cinder, let's start with you. What did you do for ladder this week?
Well, my goal was to hit rank 10 before the expansion tomorrow. I fell a little short. I'm at rank 12. It was a bad meta day, right? Like I was doing really good. I had a 74% win rate with Jade Rogue, and then I'm like, oh, I have Mage Quest. So let me do Mage, and I lost like 6 in a row. I'm like, oh my god! Just all right, fine. I'll be at rank 12 when the expansion hits. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
I'm pretty much the same way as you. I wanted to get to 10 before the expansion hits. I probably still have some time. Maybe we'll probably get this show out as soon as possible so we can make time for that. So yeah, I'm at rank 12 and yeah, still stand there. I was playing coincidentally enough, I was playing Jade Rogue as well. So
it's real good.
Yeah, it's fun. And Appa, what about you?
I hit rank 7 like a couple days ago on stream. Been playing a lot of Priest. So like it's been a struggle for me just playing Priest in general. It's like my least favorite class, and just like learning the new decks as like I build them and play them. But I hit rank 7, I'm like 25 wins away from Golden Priest now, so I'm gonna get those like later tonight because I'm insane. But I've been playing a lot of Dragon Priest and Wild just because like the games are pretty quick with the deck.
Yeah.
Like if you just like curve out,
that's the smart thing to do.
You just like go like 1 through 4 and then they're dead. But yeah, so I'm gonna get Golden Priest and then probably hit rank 5 like later tonight with I don't know, some good deck. Mage probably.
Some people forget that you can actually get those ranked wins playing in Wild or Standard.
Yeah,
the opposite
that's
of what you
that's what
play.
I did with Paladin. I was like, man, these control Paladin games are taking long. So were the mid-range ones. So I just picked up like the token Paladin deck and just like cruise through Golden Paladin. I was like, oh, this deck's just nuts. Awesome.
Sweet.
Man,
So sounds like a lot of long
Dragon
games ahead of you.
Like,
yeah.
What's the quote from The Dark Knight? You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
You'd literally just like curve like 1 through Twilight Drake, and then they can't win because you just have like so much pressure on the board, and then they're just like, oh, everything's a threat. Oops.
Yeah.
Like you just like get free wins like that, and then the other games you just operative them, and it's just disgusting. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
All right, Hat, what about you?
I am also hovering around rank 7. I played Paladin all of last month, and there are 2 classes I have left. There's Priest and Paladin. They're the 2 that I least jive with, and I'll tell you, after a month of playing Paladin, I didn't really want to do it anymore. So I started off this month with some good old Face Hunter. My buddy In Position posted on Competitive HS the other day, and so I just took his deck and just kept clicking the button until people died, and that was fun for a while. But then I switched back to I switched back to APAC Paladin, except I took out one Blessing of Kings for one Primordial Drake, so your Curator draws you 3 cards, and so you have a Primordial Drake for the mirror, because it's all mirrors and Hungry Crabs, and so if you want to beat that, you have to play the Dread Corsair build. So it's been decent for me. I'm going to keep playing it for... if I'm lucky, I'll hit 5 tonight. If I don't, whatever it is, what it is. But I think Paladin will be easy enough to play in the next expansion.
All right, and Cora.
As somebody has written in our show notes, I'm an arena specialist now, guys.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all that I do. No, I just took the Frost Festival opportunity to grind pretty much as much arena as is humanly possible and save up some gold for the expansion. But I played a couple games on stream the other day. It's like the only games I've actually played this month. It was Jade Rogue, and I think I'm at rank 14. So probably not going to get to 10 tonight because my birthday was yesterday. My brother's birthday is tomorrow, of course, with the expansion release. So we're trying to jam in all the celebration before the expansion releases tomorrow because that's probably what my entire family's going to be doing because most of us play. So yeah, I haven't had a ton of time to ladder this month yet, but arena's been a lot of fun.
What a neat birthday present.
Yeah, I had the
Right?
Overwatch Summer Games, and my brother gets the Hearthstone expansion. So Blizzard did really nice for us this year. Somebody must have written them like a really passionate letter.
Had.
It's
Hat.
It wasn't me. Maybe. So back when I was a Coin Concede listener, you would hit Legend, I think, 24 or 25 times. What's the number at now?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Enough.
Idea. I just started telling people, yeah, over 20 times because I have actually no clue.
That's kind of what I do. Like, people ask me for a number, and I'm just like, I don't know. Most of the months? I don't know. I give up sometimes.
It's like I think the last time I got it was June. I didn't get it last month. And I obviously haven't gotten it yet this month. But it's like I take a couple of months off here and there if I'm really, really busy casting or whatnot, if the meta's kind of decided, not too difficult. But, I'm going to be going hard when KFD comes out tomorrow. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and it's been pretty easy for us to tell how busy you were because it's very publicly busy.
Yeah. We all actually saw you being busy.
It's
with
not
our
like
eyeballs.
I'm laying in bed avoiding the world. I'm still doing Hearthstone stuff, just unfortunately not podcast Hearthstone stuff. But I'm sure we'll get into that.
That's okay. That's part of that's how I see podcasting because I put aside a lot of time for podcasting, so I don't get it played as much, which is kind of sad for me. I mean, I wish I could play more, but I also like podcasting, so it's catch-22. You give and take. So I feel I bet that's the same for you though. You like casting and being a part of the scene still. So
yeah, of course. It's just hard to fit everything in at one time without going a little bit crazy. So you gotta pick and choose where you spend your time.
all right. So we have a lot to talk about. Let me go over the coaching here real quick. I did coach Arctic Chill this week, and she played Jade Druid. She's one of our new patrons, and she's really sweet. She'll be there for BlizzCon, so Hat,
Cool.
Alpha,
Sweet.
we'll get to see her and her boyfriend, who coincidentally enough, I'm going to be coaching later this week, I think. I didn't know that they were together, and so
Aw.
planning to coach him.
They're not the only patron couple either. Bifrons and Dreamocracy, I think,
Yes.
Oh,
are a
okay.
pair, and they're both coaching patrons.
That's so cool.
You might as well just have both of them show up for each of their coachings. I mean,
Yeah, baby.
might as well get both. And
Twice the value.
I told her she could come and kind of watch while we're doing our coaching later. So, Cinder, you don't have anything written here. Do you want to?
Yep.
Okay.
I am specifically holding off everybody till after Knights of the Frozen Throne because I'm going to be busy producing this audio content tonight and tomorrow. So and also
And
opening packs.
a lot of people actually asked to be after.
Yeah, that was
also,
the other
so.
thing too. Like most of my coachings were like, "Can I wait until a couple weeks after?" Yeah, no problem. We'll do it at the end of the month.
Yeah, I may have to reschedule my coaching for tomorrow because actually it's my anniversary.
Oh.
So we may
Oh.
find something
See,
to
I
do.
thought you were going to
Oh,
say
wow.
something silly like it's because the set's coming out, but
No.
no.
Your anniversary is a much better excuse.
Yeah.
Well, different.
So, Hat, what about you?
Well, I have 2 coachings tomorrow. Now I have to really think about that. But I coached Kick Punch and Mangsu, who had a late coaching from July, and went pretty well. Kick Punch, we played Burn Mage, and I thought the deck was kind of out of style now, but he surpassed my rank while we were playing, so I guess it was still good. And then Mangsu, it's a lot of fun playing there. I forget what we played actually. I don't know, but it went well.
I don't know. Turns out Ice Block and Burn spells are just pretty good together.
Yes. Yeah, well, and
Better
Volcanic
to it.
Potion still very good in this meta, like really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Appa, you had a couple coachings as well?
Yeah, in the mass email that I sent out, because I picked up a bunch of like coachings of patrons who were like, just give me whoever. I was like, I'm gonna take them because like I'm all settled in, moved in, so I have infinite free time again before school starts. And I was like, hey, if you guys want to, we can just wait till after the expansion hits. But 2 people wanted me to coach them before. One was Torlan, and I coached him yesterday. We had a really, really good coaching session. I actually gave him a checklist for like when he starts his turns, just like stuff to go through that he found very helpful. It's actually pinned in our Hearthstone Hangout Discord, if anybody's like curious about that. Just like come to the Discord, discord.coinconcede.com, and then go to Hearthstone Hangout, and it's pinned message. Then I also coached Big Crazy Gamer today at noon. He had a makeup from last month.
You found him? Like, how did you do that? That's the hardest part about coaching him.
He was online like 2 days ago, and I was like, I found you, caught you.
If you ever need me to bug him for you, just please let me know. I have his phone number. And
He's like a shiny Pokemon. I just I stumbled across him.
So much. He works pretty much every day of the week except yesterday, I think.
Yeah,
so
that's like part of the
he's just
problem.
a really busy guy.
So he's like, yeah, I have work, and then I have like D&D and stuff. I'm like, man,
yeah,
you work so much. But I coached him. We played a lot of Priest. I think we ended at like he had 6 Priest wins left. But we had done like a 2-hour coaching session, and I was like, man, I'm just tired. I would love to like stay for the rest of these 6 wins, but I gotta like go get food and do some other stuff.
Yeah,
he did?
He got it today. Yeah.
Oh,
This is his first gold class, which he's been working on for like over a year now.
Yeah, he was
really,
like
really excited.
He was like apprehensive about getting the rest of the wins, and I was like, I have faith in you. You're playing fine. You got this.
Good job.
But a highlight of our coaching session was we were playing like his homebrew control priest deck. We were playing against a Seeker Mage at one point. We got like 15, 20 turns in the game. Like we got deep into a game. And the Seeker Mage just plays Yogg-Saron, and we're like, oh no. And then this Yogg-Saron just hexes itself as the first spell. Just a 10-mana 0/1 with taunt. And there was justice in the world.
Frog-Saron's return.
Frog-Saron came calling. So those are the 2 coachings I got done. I got a bunch scheduled later for this month. Like I said, I picked up a bunch of coachings. I'm doing Viriatus tomorrow because he was like, yeah, let's just do it after the expansion drops. Let's mess around with some stuff. And I was like, all right, cool, let's do that. Then we got some stuff later on in the month, but yeah.
Yeah, I try to get as much done this week as possible because I have the week off. And I know it's going to be busy later because I may be moving, so packing and moving is going to be fun. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So let's go ahead and we don't really have a news, but I did want to say thank you to Robert S., Gregory P., and Kyle K. for this week for their pledges. Thank you so much. We do appreciate it, and welcome aboard.
I can't remember like a week where we podcasted where we haven't had a shout out for that.
I think there was
Where are
That's a
these
good
people
problem
coming
to have.
from?
Yeah, it's like it's nuts. Like the support we're getting, like I feel like we say this very frequently, but like the support we get, like we appreciate it so much. It's like we do this like for you guys, but like also we just get to hang out with our friends and just talk about Hearthstone. And it's just a ton of fun. And like the fact that we just like have patrons that want to like monetarily support us and like get benefits, have us coach them, just like hang out with everybody. It's just it's really surreal just like to talk about a video game and like on the side and like just have people support you. It's crazy.
I'm so proud, Mama, to see how this podcast has grown over. God, is it? When did we start this
year's
podcast?
been crazy.
Oh yeah.
it's got to be coming up on year and a half, 2 years. It's been a whirlwind, and to see how you guys have grown it in the 6 months that I've been off doing my own thing has been it's amazing.
Have I been on for a year yet?
You were like in
Almost
November,
like
no,
late in the year, right?
yeah, November, December. I feel like.
Yeah, it was like October onward or something.
Yeah, so you're
I think I
coming
used my
up on
birthday
it.
money for this microphone. Yeah, that's gonna be sweet. But
So speaking of Patreon, we do have the new shirt that Cinder made here, and it's Easy Big Easy Druid Easy.
Shirt's
That's
amazing.
Big Druid.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
That's so good.
also, if you want to learn how to play Big Druid, I'll shameless plug. I'll put a link in the show notes after this. You can mosey on over to Hearthstone Top Decks and have an article written about it. It's like a pretty straightforward deck. Some people like make small mistakes playing it, but yeah, I have a whole deck guide over on Hearthstone Top Decks you can check out, along with
Awesome.
a sweet Big Druid shirt.
Yeah, link it in Twitch for them to see too.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Spoilers, you should read it, but just keep the cards that say Mana Crystal and throw back the other ones, and you'll be fine. And then
It's
when Ultimate Infestation comes out tomorrow, just put 2 of those in there. Just play 2
Yeah.
of that card.
Yeah.
You'll be good to go.
Yeah.
All right, so
That's
this will
Big Druid in 10 seconds.
this will be the part where we normally go into the news. So I don't know if you want to just
As a formality,
Sup-
just
surprise us.
okay. The news is the expansion comes out tomorrow. Yay! All right, next section.
It's the grand tournament.
So we are going to talk about very, very quickly 2 things: follow-ups to follow-ups from previous tournament sections. The World Esports Games Chongqing segment had their first event where they had a general bracket and a women's bracket, and hilariously, bringing on sweet poetic justice, a woman won the general bracket anyway. I asked our SEA friends. Her name translates to "cute baby demon," and she is a streamer from the Chinese region, and she wrecked it. And congrats to her. I wish I could talk more about the tournament, but it was 100% in Chinese, so all I can do is give you the winner. And we had the Supergirl Gamer Pro Finals that happened in Long Beach, I believe, this couple weekends ago. But I wasn't there to see it, but I know someone who was. So, Cora, tell us about it a little bit.
Yeah, so it was in San Diego, and it was actually the first iteration of Supergirl Gamer Pro, but it is the 11th year for Supergirl Pro, which was an all-female extreme sports festival. So they had a large surfing competition. They had skateboarding. In the winter, they do skiing and snowboarding. It's really, really amazing. And it was right on the beach. So this was just the first year that they actually integrated esports into the other larger festival that was going on already.
Cool.
So they had a League of Legends tournament on Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday I came in with Rob Wing, and we casted the top 8 of their Hearthstone tournament. It was an all-female Hearthstone tournament, and you had skill levels kind of all over the place. There were a couple of names that are pretty avid in the community that you will see on Twitter and in Twitch chat and things like that. But most of the women were unknowns and serious amateurs. It was a very different tournament than I'm used to casting, seeing as most of what I cast is very competitive Hearthstone. But this was really a building block. It was an all-female Hearthstone tournament as a stepping stone for welcoming more women into the community and getting them involved in competitive Hearthstone in any way, shape, or form. If this leads to any of these women maybe feeling like they want to take part in open cups or try to compete in a dream hack somewhere down the line, then I would consider this a huge success. It was a ton of fun. Everybody who ran it was really fantastic. The women were just so genuinely excited to be there and to get to play Hearthstone. And I got a chance to meet a couple of them, get to talk with them a little bit, and they were so genuine. And it seemed like they really had not had opportunities like this before whatsoever. So they were all very new to competition, And I hope that if there are not necessarily more tournaments like this one, that we'll at least get to see this one again next year, and that it will continue to, be maybe a little bit of a driving force for getting new women into the Hearthstone community, because I love the women that are in the community already, but if we can get maybe somebody other than Eloise competing in a tournament once in a while, that would be pretty sweet. So the VODs are up now. I got an email from the Supergirl people this morning, I believe, saying that they were available. So the Twitch channel is, I believe, twitch.tv/SupergirlGP. And they should be available on there for you to check out if you want to go watch them. It was a ton of fun. Take all of the plays with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, it really was a learning experience for everybody involved. But it was a great experience.
And this is the first tournament of its kind in the Americas, I believe.
There have been some all-female tournaments there was one in China, I believe, and then of course WESG is doing all-female brackets as well now. But this is the first one of its kind that I have seen in the U.S. and certainly the first one that I've been a part of. I don't know that I necessarily would have streamed it on Twitch. You certainly want to get the name out for these women, and you want to give them some exposure and let them have their 15 minutes. But at the same time, it's a very backwards community sometimes when it comes to women playing Hearthstone, and especially amateur women playing Hearthstone. So it's kind of hard to reiterate to them over and over again that this is a learning experience. This is not HCT, just because it's so different than what everybody's used to seeing when they see Twitch Hearthstone competition. So it's something that people are going to have to get used to, and hopefully we get more of these kinds of tournaments so it doesn't seem so different.
Cool.
Nice. Nothing really upcoming, because I assume we're just going to be opening packs.
Yeah. And also the summer points cutoff is already passed. So there's nothing left to be done except for last call and in the playoffs for summer. So there's, with the exception of like the Dream Hacks, the HCT is going to be done. There's global games that happens. Ooh, Cora, help me out. When is global games?
April 25th, 26th, end of April. I'm not positive the exact days. Or August, end of August. Sorry.
Yeah, I believe you're correct. It's the end of August.
End of August, 20 something.
Yep.
Not positive. I'm not a part of the finals, but it is at Gamescom in Germany, so I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Cool. All right, so I would normally do the iTunes, but we have enough to just pass them around, so I color-coded them. Pat, read the first one.
Okay. iTunes. This is by Aaron2345. Very intelligent take in the game. Love the explanations. Keep up the good work. Thanks. We will.
Thank you.
And all of these are from the USA, so I guess you don't have to really mention that. And then Cinder.
Heck Atomics, he is Hex in the Discord. He says, "Fun cast, knowledgeable people talking all about Hearthstone while having fun. Easy to listen with. Thanks."
Thank you. And Appa.
I like the title of this one. This is from Gabuchi. The title is Yes. And the description is, "Great podcast that has helped me get to rank 7 in only my second month of playing. First off, congrats."
That's great.
He says thank you, or she. I am not sure. We thank you for leaving a review, and we're glad we can help you get to rank 7 if that was partially our doing. That's awesome. It's really respectable, honestly.
Yeah. I remember first time making a 7, I was just nervous. All right, so we'll leave the best for last here. Cora.
All right, so this one is titled Quest Shog, and it is coming to us from Lahars. It says, "Quest, press play on this podcast with 4 hosts of the same talent level, but with their own unique abilities and viewpoints. Reward, Crystal Cora. Every episode worthy of a high 5 out of 5 star rating. Rip Quest Rogue, gone but not forgotten." That's one of the more creative reviews that I've ever seen. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
I think that might be my favorite review we've gotten.
It's pretty dang good.
It's just perfect. It's awesome.
It's perfect that it was here for you to be here too.
Yeah.
Ward,
Like,
Crystal
you guys
Cora.
change that.
When I read that got me laughing really hard.
That is something special.
All right, so I'll introduce it. We'll play the intro here, and I'll explain the beginning here for our explanations. All right, so I'm gonna have tip of the hat to not to hat, but to Cinder for putting
Just tip Ben over
Don't tip
in
me.
my direction.
I don't want to be tipped.
But he actually put together a lot of information for us to kind of quickly go over and prepare as much as possible for this show, so we can kind of pull out the things that we want to that kind of stuck out to us. So basically, all the cards of the Knights of the Frozen Throne have been released and revealed and announced and shown, and we have at least 50 cards or so, you say. And since the last time we had yeah. So basically, we've compiled all of the set just to review it. We took out the key points to talk about, and yeah, we're going to take a couple minutes to discuss each point for each class and stuff. So do you want to go a little bit more in depth about that?
Yeah, so enormous thanks to Evident from HearthstoneTopDecks.com for giving me a great starting point with his database. I mean, it's publicly accessible, but he makes it accessible, which makes it, a great tool for everybody to use. But based on that data, we put together a really great spreadsheet of all the cards and our comprehensive reviews, and did a bunch of formulas to kind of like pluck out the important data points and stuff like that. And that's what we're using today to talk about the cards that stand out for us for various reasons.
Cool. Yeah. So we each put our own rankings next to each card. Yeah, I try to do it as honestly as possible, because I had pulled up all the cards separately and I would rate them and then go and input them into this. I think Kat just did everything and then input them later, but yeah. So we got a lot to go over. We're going to go over by class. I'm going to start first with Druid. So first one's...
One thing real quick, sorry.
Sure.
I was talking, me and Hat were having like a little back and forth before the show, and I think it's important to just like get this out of the way right now for anybody listening. When we're talking about like cards like being good or not, like it's possible for cards to be good and powerful, like not see play. And it's also, when we talk about cards like fitting into specific decks or classes, it's possible that like take Paladin for instance. Like right now, the 4-drop slot is like very clunky, and like we have a lot of like we have a lot of 4-drops that we have access to right now. That might change in the future, but when we're referring to like our card ratings, we're talking about it like in relation to the metagame, like right now. So the ratings like could change in the future, like depending on what we have access to, but we're just kind of referring to them right now.
Good to point out.
Yeah, context is complicated. Our rating system actually has Eater of Secrets below Dark Iron Dwarf. We based our rating systems off of examples that make sense, because an arbitrary 1 through 10 rating system is so easy to misinterpret. We say a card's a 6. What does a 6 mean? You can't be like, I'm only going to build a deck with cards that are 6 or higher. What does that mean? So we used examples, and Dark Iron Dwarf is a great example of a decent card that is generally not quite good enough. And Eater of Secrets is an example of a card that is terrible unless the meta really calls for it and it's really useful in a specific use case. Eater of Secrets has seen more play recently. We still believe Dark Iron Dwarf to be generally a better card, but Eater of Secrets is more appropriate for the meta for about a month and a half. So,
do you want to go over our rating scale just to kind of have our listeners join us in our thought process for the ratings?
That's probably a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the rating system we came up with, it goes from 1, which is actually a joke. The example we used is Major Domo Executus. Then 2 is Ew. That's Amgam Rager. 3 is your reason to play this is probably not good. That's Bolvar 4-Dragon. Rip. 4 is it's a tech card but not a regular inclusion. That's your Eater of Secrets. 5 is a decent but may not be right for all metas. That's Dark Iron Dwarf. 6 is a solid typical inclusion. That's True Silver Champion. So this is the hump where you start to see cards consistently be put into decks. And then you start to get into 7, which is archetype augmenting. I pointed to Stonehill Defender, which I think Control Druids and Control Paladin and Taunt Warrior probably wouldn't exist without the card's power. 8 is archetype defining, Mark of the Lotus. If you think of Aggro Druid, you think of how annoying this card is to play against. 9 is format warping. There's your tunnel trogs. It is maybe not good enough to be nerfed right away. It might be nerfed at the end of its life cycle because people are sick of it. But it's the kind of
but
card,
the format has to react to it because it's so good.
And I would put Ice Block and Jade Idol in this category in that they might not get nerfed, but they're easily the most hated cards. And if someone were to nerf them, there would be reasons for it. I think that actually Crystal Core fits here. And then 10 is actually broken. That's our good buddy Undertaker. And I think you could have made the argument for the original incarnation of Small Time Buccaneer to be here, or the original incarnation
I feel
of
like
Spirit
Dr.
Cause.
Boom is like maybe between 9 and 10, probably erring on the side of 10.
Yeah, it's 9. Like, you have to depend on seeing Dr. Boom, but when you play against a 10 out of 10, that means well, I don't have to worry about this 3 months from now because this card is for sure getting nerfed. And Undertaker and original Small Time Buccaneer definitely felt like, well, this is going to change in 3 months.
Yeah.
All right, so we're all on the same page now. So let's go ahead and start with Druid. So the first card we were going to go over was Malfurion the Pestilent. Cinder, what did we get as far as the...
So we all pretty much agreed on Malfurion. Our average score, well, it was 5.3. Cora kicked us up to 5.6. So we all generally agree that he's good, maybe not great.
Cool. Did we want to talk about each one after, or just after the entire class?
I mean, these are the Death Knights are probably going to be the marquee cards. So they're definitely worth talking about. Like, how do we use these cards, right? So for me, like Malfurion, the creature summoning is a little underwhelming for me. However, the hero power has a great deal of long-term value. It's almost like tank up if you're using it for armor, or a Frostbolt on demand on the other side. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that was kind of my like initial reaction to it was like, this doesn't seem great. Then like I just like stepped back, thought about it in a vacuum, and I kind of viewed it as like a little bit more expensive Justicar. Then like it brings down like you either like gains you some life, like brings down like a couple weak bodies, which is fine. But it also just like has a Justicar Trueheart like effect where it just upgrades your hero power into something like very flexible and very powerful. So if you can like get any use out of the bodies that it brings, it seems like it'll be a pretty good card.
I think the main point of the hero power is just the flexibility makes it stronger than what it if you were to just have one choice, you know.
Yeah, and my view on it is it's pretty much the only Death Knight that at 7 mana is not going to take your entire turn and will develop your board and give you some form of life gain at the same time. You get the automatic 5 armor, and then you get the extended additional armor if you choose so with your hero power going forward. Yes, the summoning is not super great. It's a little bit underwhelming. With Fandral, it gets significantly better. But then again, we haven't seen how good potentially the poisonous spiders can be. And the 2 Scarabs with Taunt potentially can soak up 10 damage alone. So I think it does affect the board in some way when it comes down, as well as give you longevity.
I think it's also like the 5 armor is kind of deceptive, and like see 5 armor, you're just like, oh, you're gaining life. That's like a control element. But like this card's very good if you can like be ahead on board while you develop this. You just like get +3 attack. It's just like better than Steady Shot if they don't have taunts.
Yeah.
Well, like this card is Druid gaining value over time, which it has historically not wanted to do. And I think the difficult part about evaluating this card is it doesn't fit in Token Druid and it doesn't fit in Jade Druid. Jade Druid wants to just build up inertia and roll with it. And Aggro Druid obviously doesn't want to play a 7-drop. So you have to think about this card in, first of all, it's Forbidden Healing for 14, right? It's for 7. You're gaining 10 butt in taunts, which is a lot of butt. And then you're gaining 5 armor. And so 7 mana gain 15. If they're not playing Burn, is pretty solid. And then the hero power just gives you value over time. So you think about a Ramp Druid, Big Druid deck, you're putting this in every time because you're probably going to get it before turn 7. And even if you don't, you just gain some life, and then your hero power becomes good on all those turns where you don't have something that uses all 10 of your mana. And if you're using all 10 of your mana, you're fine. But it just means your hero power generates value over time. So I think thinking about this in the context of current Druid decks is kind of a trap. This belongs in a different kind of Druid deck. I think Ramp Druid makes a lot of sense. but you don't put it in token, you don't put it in Jade, and that makes it hard to think about what do I do with this card and where do I do it.
All right. Good discussion. I think we'll move on to the next one here. So, Druid of the Swarm.
I got called out specifically for this one.
Yeah. Appa, why don't you tell us about that?
All right. So, are we like explaining what all the cards do, or are we just assuming that we all know what they do?
I mean, you can blink by it. It's not a complex card.
Okay, so Druid of the Swarm, just 2 mana 1/2 on its by itself. It has choose one, transform into a 1/2 with poisonous, or a 1/5 with taunt. This card has received high praise from the community, which completely blows my mind. Because in my when I look at this card, it just looks awful in almost every aspect. And my rationale for that is, so you can either be a 2-mana. Let's go on both halves of the cards. First half is a 2 mana 1/2 with poisonous. Okay, that seems fine, right? Like you get a head on board or something, and then it's like a pseudo removal spell, makes things awkward. Well, we've had Patient Assassin for a very long time. Granted, it's a 1/1, but if you're not playing against Maelstrom Portal or something, it's arguably better because it just sits on the board for forever. And that saw no play whatsoever. There is the Beast tag as a counter argument to that. But we've also had Stubborn Gastropod in Standard since Angoro came out, which has seen actually no play. So that's the first half. An argument for this card is its flexibility. Okay, we have flexibility. You have a 2 mana 1/5. What does a 2 mana 1/5 do? Not that much. So a 1/5, it gains 5 life, sure. If you're not playing against burn. If you're playing against board-centric minion-based decks, it gains 5 life. What else does it do past that? Almost nothing, at all. If you don't have Marquee Charge, it just gains 5 life and dies. Because a 1/5 doesn't trade into hardly anything, and it's just so easy for your opponent to trade efficiently into. Poisonous dudes are worse than they look. Pretty much by tradition in Hearthstone. And just a 1 mana or a 2 mana 1/5 is just almost unplayable. It's just not very good. Mogashen Warden, obviously it costs 4 mana, but if it's on the board, it's just a joke. And if say you silence a Tar Creeper, that card's just not playable whatsoever. You just look at it and you're just okay, ignore you for the rest of the game. You're irrelevant. So it blows my mind that the community thinks this card's great, and I don't see it at all.
I see this almost more as a token druid tool. I think you're going for the 2 mana 1/5 almost every time, and then I think you're wanting it on the board so you can buff it up so it actually becomes something that you can attack with. If silence ever becomes prevalent, then you will not use it because stat buffs are the only thing that I can see making this good. But if you go, Firefly, Coin Firefly 1, Druid of the Swarm 2, and then maybe another Druid of the Swarm on 3 plus Mark of the Lotus, well, then that's a big-ass board, but you already have so many tools that can make large boards for Token Druid that I don't know this is entirely necessary.
I could see it slotting in Token Druid, because you just play the double Galacos a lot of the times anyways, and sometimes it's a hindrance to you, and I guess you can just play it as the 1/5 and just be okay, this is super medium, but we don't have much better than this. And it's protects your other stuff.
That's where my rating came from, was from having played a lot of Token Druid. I'm thinking if I could have a 1/5 taunt on turn 2, so that I can kind of ignore the board slightly, and push a little bit more face damage, I definitely want that. And the fact that it's a beast on 2, like you mentioned, means it's a platform for Mark of Yasharaj, which is a big deal, and a 3/7 on 3 is certainly quite good. So I guess from a holistic standpoint in Druid, it's probably a 4 or 5. But as a Token Druid player, I was probably a 7 for me.
And that's kind of how I was rating it, as just in a vacuum.
Yeah.
And not putting it in a deck, which I guess was kind of a little bit of a trap for me in terms of the card's value, but I can see it in Token Druid. I still think the card's not very good on its own, but all of Token Druid's cards are bad. So that's fine. You just they're all cheap, you buff them up and then they die. That's fine.
Yeah, and I mean it makes sense because a vacuum will just suck a spider right up.
Yeah. Poor
Yeah.
spider friends.
Mm.
I don't think you've encountered a banana spider before.
Oh. Yes,
All
I
right.
have actually.
Let's keep it that way.
Good or bad reasons?
They are large.
Bad reasons.
They are large spiders.
So speaking of hunting spiders, so we have Hunter next. So we have a couple cards. I want to mention them together only because I feel like of these across the board, it seems like we had the same things. We're kind of split. So the first one's Exploding Bloat Bat, and the second one is Play Dead. So both Cinder and I liked both of these cards, and Appan Hat did not. I didn't check Cora's.
I don't love the bat. I think Play Dead's all right.
Okay.
So I'm with Appan Hat on the bat and Cinder and Kenny on Play Dead.
All right, so let me kick over to Cinder because he's the hunter player here. I'll let
So,
him. He's well spoken on it.
I guess I have to boilerplate this because I did not do what Appa said. I actually rated these objectively as opposed to in the meta because to me these are cards without an archetype. But objectively speaking, like Exploding Bloat Bat, it's going to deal 2 damage and it's going to deal 2 damage to the board after that. So in a sense, it's kind of like a slightly delayed swipe, because I mean, it's if it goes into an empty board, or if your board's empty and they have some stuff, like there's no way for them to work around this. They have to take the consecration effect when it dies. So it's if you have a hunter archetype that can live while being behind, then Bloatbat becomes a big tool. But right now that doesn't exist. So yeah, take my rating with a grain of salt. Play Dead, same thing. Like if better death rattles come up, you're talking about a 1 mana trigger some effect that's on the board. Like 1 mana on a 1 mana summon 2/2/2 hyenas is excellent. Like you definitely want that. Or 1 mana summon a random death rattle that died from the Abominable Bowman. Like that's excellent. That's great value. But again, the slow death rattle hunter does not exist yet. But if it did, I would give these good ratings.
That's the same point I was kind of looking at it too, and I like Cora was saying, I like Play Dead a little bit better because it's more universal. The Exploding Bloatbat I like just because of the AoE that a hunter now could have possibly, and then together, gosh, you could do crazy amount of damage.
A Bloatbat with Play Dead in hand is quite good.
So
and then you have to look at like the deck for the rest of the game and be like, man, my mana just not like curving out with like Houndmaster and High Mains and stuff.
Right, yeah. Like it would be a totally different deck that doesn't do that, which is weird, but yeah.
Yeah, so my argument against I guess I'll go before Hat. I'll jump in front of you in line. So Exploding Bloatbat. So like it's a consecration, like / exploding trap that your opponent can see and just like play around on command. Like if they're aggressive. And the thing about aggressive decks is like, unless you're Shaman, so like think about aggressive decks, aka Pirate Warriors, like Consecration isn't actually that good against them. And they can just like, because it like doesn't kill that much, and they can just like hit your dude with their weapon, with initiative, and like take some damage on their minions, be like, alright, whatever, still hit you. You just played a 4-mana 2/1. I don't care. And then there's also the argument that Hunter has like Houndmaster and Infested Wolf on 4 already. Also, it's a 2/1. I think I mentioned that. So it's like wanting to go in like a slower Hunter deck, or like
I think we agree on that point.
you want to like be a little bit behind, but like I don't know, just
we have to see it, Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ham.
Whenever you talk about slow hunter, that's been rumored since the game came out, and we haven't seen it yet. The slowest hunter we've seen topped out at Ragnaros because that did damage. So what you're doing here...
It also played Barnes to get Ragnaros.
Yes, for a brief moment in time after Barnes, after Dr. Boom, before Barnes. But so what you're doing here by playing Bloatbat on 4 is you're saying, well, next turn I get to use this to do something. It's a consecration that takes a turn. So it's whenever you develop and you don't impact what your opponent is doing right away. This is why Dragon Priest loses to Pirate Warrior. You develop good things that when you get to use them, they help you, but your opponent gets to do whatever they want until you get to use your good thing. And if they happen to have something that doesn't die to Bloatbat, if they happen to have a Dread Corsair and a Frothing Berserker, you're like, well, this sucks. And we don't want to come into the trap of Magical Christmasland where everything is good. We also don't want to come into the trap of whatever the opposite of Magical Christmasland is. I guess the Frozen Throne, where everything sucks and everybody dies. You don't want those two extremes, but I think the most likely scenario is that you play this on 4. If it hurts your opponent, they still get to. It's like a bad 4-mana Doomsayer. Which is still fine.
So like the decks that you wanted against, that like you want a board clear against, they get to ignore this. And then the decks that you don't want a board clear against, it's a 4-mana 2/1 that tickles their minions.
Yeah, they still get to ignore this in a different kind of way. So, and Play Dead, what we're looking at here is Play Dead is you want to get minions for the cost of a 1-mana card that normally would cost you more than 1 mana, right? If you're talking about Grandmother, Infested Wolf, or Highmane, it's 1 mana for more stats than you should normally be able to get for 1 mana. Unless you're targeting specifically Bloatbat, you're not getting anything other than a minion, and Hunter has never been good when all it does is just develop minions. You're good when you disrupt the board, you're good when your opponent can't stop you, you're good when you play almost like a rogue with inevitability because your hero power deals more damage. And so, I don't know, I feel like Play Dead, you're spending a mana to get more stats, but Hunter doesn't need more stats right now. Hunter needs abilities to combat the board that don't cost 4 mana for a 2/1.
So my thing about Play Dead is we've had Play Dead in the game for a while on the body of a 3/3, which has a lower opportunity cost than Play Dead. Play Dead has a higher ceiling because it's cheaper, but it's also going to be a 1-mana do nothing a reasonable amount of the time. Like your best case is probably like popping a Savannah Highmane, like on like 7 or something, or like just like, so I guess best case Magical Christmasland scenario is Highmane on 6, Play Dead your Highmane, play another Highmane. That's like Magical Christmasland. And like we've had a 3-mana 3/3 that if it's just like dead in your hand, you can play it on turn 3, and it's like a lower opportunity cost and like doesn't cost you much. But if you don't have a target for Play Dead, you just can't actually do that. It just like sits in your hand, just like, man, this sucks. Like obviously, like there's the rumors of the Death Rattle Hunter that like never came. But
One day.
It's Feign Death was a thing for like a hot second, and it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't good. And I made Feign Deaths for that deck with the dream of hitting Sylvanas and other stuff, and Sneed's Old Shredder. And it didn't work, but it was great. But not great in the way that it wins games, great in the way that I enjoyed it. I will also say Exploding Bloatbat, ever since Firebat quit pro play, he's really let himself go.
Oh my
Shirts don't fit him anymore. Nah, Bloatbat has... So the upside is Death Rattle synergy within the Hunter class. So ideally you get to play these 2 cards together, but that would mean that you need to start on coin, and then you get the guaranteed 2 damage on turn 4, or you need to wait until turn 5. Otherwise, it's just a consecration that you can't control, attached to a body that you don't need. That is pretty much inconsequential. So I think Play Dead is kind of gimmicky. Maybe you'll see some people trying it out, but I don't like the bat. I think it's just too inconsistent for me.
Incidentally, I think we found the name of the episode.
What's that?
Magical Christmasland.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
yeah.
Oh, I thought we were going with Exploding Firebat. Oops.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Whoops.
Whoops.
JK.
Moving on here. we
Magical
have
Firebat.
Mage. We have Mage. Talking about Christmas here. Mage. We're bringing in the frozen Mage, not the freeze Mage, I guess. Or what would you guys call
Frost
it?
Mage?
Frost Mage.
I like calling it Frost Mage.
Okay.
We're like you're playing like a kind of tempo-ish shell, but you have like freeze effects. So it's not like hardcore like freeze your board and stuff. It's like, oh, I'm like kind of tickling you with freeze stuff. So it's like a Frosty Mage.
You're
Frosty
all
the
about the
Snowman.
tickles today.
I am about the tickles.
It's
You ever
Okay.
been tickled? That's awesome. You get to like laugh and it's great. All right, let's continue.
All right.
yes,
So the
please.
first one we were going to talk about is Ice Walker. we're gonna kick it over to Hat here because he was the one that wasn't so fond of this one.
Yeah, it's I mean, I initially was hot in this card, but I since chilled on it.
No, fine.
So 1 mana 1/3 is my Thank you, Cinder. I'm glad you have that on tap. 1 mana 1/3 is my favorite stat line in the game. 2 mana 1/3 I feel pretty bad about because if you play this on 2, it's probably gonna die pretty quick. And if you play this on 2 and the goal is to play this on 2 and then hero power on 3, your curve is not in a good place. So, what are we looking at? Turn 4, play a 2 mana 1/3 and then ping. Turn 5, that's still 80% of your turn. I'm trying to figure out where we want this in our curve. Because we're assuming we're playing at the same turn that we're using the hero power. And maybe that's something that you want to do to freeze a minion, but I think you can generally assume it's going to cost you the card. Right? It's going to cost you the card of the Ice Walker, because I don't think you can expect your 1/3 to live through the following turn. And if you can't expect to live through the turn, it's going to be difficult for it to compare favorably to Freezing Potion in my eyes. If you can repeat the effect, you get value out of it, but repeating the effect based on a fragile body, Fallen Hero was not good enough, and I think the effect was appreciably better. The body was slightly more fragile, but not much, and it generally traded back, and this generally doesn't.
I absolutely agree with you. I had given it a higher rating, and then I remembered Fallen Hero was the card, and I moved down to, I think I ended up giving it a 3. Fallen Hero was a body that traded better. The hero power, I do think, was better. And it didn't have the elemental tag. I think that's the only thing that Ice Walker has going for it. But other than that, yeah, I would say that Fallen Hero was just markedly better.
I had it as a like a tech card.
I need Cinder to hear my monologue, and he just got up and left.
How rude.
How rude.
All right, so let me jump on this real quick, because I think that comparison is not a good one, actually. I think it's a pretty bad comparison to Fallen Hero. I think Fallen Hero's effect is much worse than this card by like a significant amount, actually. Like, I don't think it's even like close. So I think like spell damage on your hero power is like a joke compared to like freezing a minion just like repeatedly. So I agree with Hap. The body is fragile. Like the butt's like kind of decently statted to like not get killed instantly, but it's also scary to play like on turn 2. So like turn 4 is probably going to be a pretty common play if you play with this card. But you also have to think about, like, say you're playing Dragon Priest. Like, we've all played Dragon Priest. We've all played Netherspite Historian on turn 2. That card lives just, like, a decent amount of the time. It's like, sometimes your opponent just, like, can't trade into it efficiently. Like, sometimes they have a Firefly. Sometimes they just don't actually play anything on turn 1. So, like, if you play Ice Walkers, just, like, if you just, like, run it out on 2, if they haven't played a 1-drop, like, they'll either have to, like, react to it or, like, try and start developing. And then you've just like developed a very, very threatening card for the rest of the game, or like they've dealt with it, which you're fine with. My argument like against why I didn't rate Ice Walker higher is Mage already has like just a bunch of amazing 2-drops. So like this also doesn't have a deck that it wants to go in. So like you have like Sorcerer's Apprentice, you have Arcanologist, you have Medivh's Valet, which you can just play on 2, which you do sometimes. So like that's just 6 2-drops that you can just put in any mage deck already. So this one's gonna have a tough time finding a home. But like 2 mana, freeze a minion without using a card. Like, I mean, you play the Ice Walker, which gives you a body. But like say it lives and you have like 2 mana freeze a minion without losing a card, like that's nuts. That's very strong. Especially if like you can get on head with Mana Worm and just like gain tempo off of freezing a minion using your hero power. That's crazy. Like, that's very, very strong, especially in, like, a mid-game scenario, like when they start developing bigger minions, and you just, like, 2 mana freeze it. Okay, that minion doesn't matter anymore. Develop some more stuff. Like, you use 2 mana, but, like, if you're playing, like, cheap mage cards, like, you don't care. Like, you just play, like, cheap mage cards. You play, like, a Battling Book or, like, another 2-drop along with it.
So does Demented Frostcaller come back into the card pool?
Come back from where?
From
never existing.
Exactly.
Does it appear for the first time?
Yes.
Right. There you go.
Yeah, I think this card is actually an example of like good cards that just like won't see much play. I think the effect is like very strong, and like I think it would see play in a world where Mage doesn't have like infinite good 2-drops, just because like I do think this card is like much better than what's it called, the 2-mana 3/2
Fallen Hero.
deal 2. Yeah, Fallen. I think it's much better than Fallen Hero.
I mean, the opportunity cost of spending 2 mana, the argument that it might change your early game plan, it's compelling, but there aren't a lot of decks that play single X1s right now. Like, so you're assuming that you're going to soften up their board and slow it down, but at no point are you really going to remove it. So you're stemming the tide, and by doing that, you're spending 2 mana a turn. So I think the opportunity cost of 2 mana a turn is enormous, and especially in the metagame we have right now, which is generally pretty fast. I'd be surprised if you're able to pivot your game plan that way. You might be able to like Ice Walker and freeze a couple minions until you get to your Doomsayer turn. And then maybe you can just Doomsayer ping and save the Frost Nova. I could see that being powerful. It's just a question of, will the metagame be copacetic to dealing with one thing a turn?
Yeah, I think this card scales with how slow the meta is. I think the slower it is, the better this card is.
Yeah, my reasoning was, if for instance you coin Fallen Hero on 1 and then use hero power to kill your opponent's minion on 2, then you have essentially what is free damage push and free removal in the form of your hero power that you wouldn't have had before. Whereas with Ice Walker, you would then have to commit another hero power to finish off the target. Granted, that only works for 2 health targets, so if you're running into a 2/3, you're screwed anyway. But that's just my thing. It's more aggressive from the Fallen Hero standpoint. This definitely fits better into a controlling archetype, but is that the direction that Control Mage wants to go? I don't know. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of really awesome things out of Mage.
Also,
great.
I want to make one last point. I found this out yesterday after playing this game for 2 years. If you freeze your minion on your own turn, or if your minion becomes frozen on your turn, and it's before you attack with it, you get it back at the end of the turn. You don't have to wait till next turn. I didn't know
freezing
that.
Just means you miss one attack.
Yep. So so if a minion is frozen on your side on your turn and you didn't attack with it, you get it back that turn. If you freeze it after you attack, you get it back the following turn, which I had no idea.
So I'm trying to think. So if you're on turn 2 and you freeze your own minion before you attack,
you get to attack with it on turn 3.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good to know. On to the next one here. We have Frozen Clone, which is a secret. 3-mana secret. After your opponent plays a minion, add 2 copies of it to your hand. So we had a couple 3s and then 5 and 2 6s. So let's go with Cinder and a Hat on this one.
Frozen Clone. I am not hot on Frozen Clone. I rated it as a 3. Hey, look at that. I didn't do that on purpose. So,
You make me throw up.
All right.
I'll do it.
So, I mean,
Please
people
don't
are
do
already pretty good at playing around mirror image by throwing out a junk minion. So, like with this secret, they'll probably start doing, if this saw play, players would do the same thing. They'll play out a junk minion ahead just to test for it, and then you get 2 junk minions in your hand, not even on the board. So I'm like, it's like minions you probably don't even want. So I don't know. I don't see the application here, but I think Appa did. But Hat, do you want to also dump on this card?
Let Hat go. This is one of those scenarios. Y'all finish first.
Okay. Hat.
I forgot to turn off the mute button. So my argument here is that this card is punished by currently existing behavior. People play around Mirror Entity and Potion of Polymorph by playing the worst minion in their hand first, and this gives you 2 copies of the worst minion in their hand. You still draw a card technically, but if your opponent is playing around a secret where you have a minion, this is the same trigger as all the other ones already. So your opponent's going to go through the same steps. If they don't have an answer to it, then sure, but that means they didn't have an answer to Mirror Entity, and you should probably just be playing Mirror Entity instead, because it gains you a card and mana instead of 2 cards, which generally is what you want to do if you're in a deck that's playing Mirror Entity.
And the tempo advantage of it being summoned as well.
Yes.
All right, Appa.
Okay, my turn. So, my thing with this is this adds another secret into the pool that Secret Mage can play. which is like very it's big. If you're not like playing, if Secret Mage, if we're not like 3 months into the metagame already and Secret Mage isn't completely like fleshed out, you're not actually sure like what secrets you're going to play against. Like Hat said, there is existing behavior where you just like test for stuff naturally, but the way Secret Mage plays is if we're playing against like a reasonable Secret Mage start, you don't actually have time to like test against everything. There, like a lot of times you just have to kind of take a risk and be like, I hope this just isn't what punishes me. I hope this isn't counterspell. Oh, he had counterspell. Bottom right. Concede. Oh, he had mirror entity. Okay, I'm dead. He's got a 5/6 now because I played an operative into it, and I just had to hope he didn't have it. Because like they just get on the board and then they develop secrets for either like reduced cost with like primordial glyph or stupid 4/3. What's it called?
Karen
Mentor
Mage.
Or like
King.
Sorcerer's Apprentice. And then they just get ahead on board and then just punish you for doing literally anything. And very frequently, unless you're playing a very aggressive deck, which this card's not very good against aggressive decks, like because you're just going to get the cards in your hand and they're just going to be like cheap, dinky minions. But if you're playing against a reasonably slower deck, like say mid-range or control, they're going to get ahead on board and then you're just going to have to put something on the board and just cross your fingers and hope. And like you can play like 2 mirror entities and then like this. Like Secret Mage needs like one more good secret to be like just incredible. And this is like a decent secret whenever it punishes your opponent. Sometimes it's gonna whiff, sure. And then you get like 2 dinky minions in your hand. But you also gas out pretty frequently in the mid game anyways, and like 2 dinky minions is sometimes just gonna be good enough to like push some damage, like on your next turn. Like you get 2 dinky minions and then you just play them. And then maybe they can't deal with like your already existing threats, plus the minions that you got off Frozen Clone. And then sometimes you just get like 2 big fat mid-range minions that they just had to play anyways, and you're just like, okay, I just drew 2 really good cards. So I think like because of how Secret Mage operates, I don't think the opportunity cost is like that high to playing this. It's like similar to Mirror Entity, like it doesn't give you the onboard tempo, but it does give you a quote-unquote like extra card. Sometimes you'll get punished, and sometimes they just like can't win anymore after they trigger this. That's just kind of how Secret Mage plays.
It's a disruptor. I think it's fine. I think you'll see it in some decks. I don't hate it.
Fair enough.
All right. So that's it for Mage. Let's move on to Paladin. We'll start with the Death Knight here, the Uther the Ebon Blade. So I want to hear what you guys say first. Obviously, I was looking at this for a little bit, but what do you guys think?
So it looks like we all agree that Uther the Ebon Blade is quite good. Just to sum it up real quick, like his weapon is fantastic. It represents immediate plus the 5 armor for the hero card itself. It represents immediate 10 life gain, 15 damage over time, and 20 healing over time, which is just bonkers. It is, of course, susceptible to weapon removal, but it's the chance you got to take playing Paladin. And the hero power, it summons 2/2s, which is actually quite a big deal.
It's just an upgrade.
Yeah,
It's
like
an upgrade for Paladin.
don't look at it as like this whole Exodia thing where you're gonna just blow up your opponent with the 4 horsemen, because like if you can squeeze off 4 unanswered hero powers, you've already won anyway. Like this is just lanyap. So the fact that it just summons 2/2s is really, really good. 2/2s that have to be answered. So yes, excellent card. Anyone else?
So I rated this card a little bit lower. I think this card is worse than people are giving it credit for. I still think it's a fine card. Like I think it's gonna be played. I think it's reasonable. It's pretty strong, but I don't think it's like amazing, because like in the majority, like a majority of games you're gonna play, it's gonna be like 9 mana, summon a 5/3 lifesteal weapon, gain 5 armor. Like that's just all you're gonna get out of it. A lot of the time. Like it's 9 mana. Like it's not a small investment. Like you don't like Ysera is like gives you bananas value. We don't see that card very often. So like the meta has to be slow for this to like function. and if it's not like slow enough, this card's not going to see that much play. Because like 5 armor is decent, and like the 5/3 lifesteal is like solid, but you also have to like you're probably going to have to attack into minions anyways because you might be behind on board. Maybe you might be like if you're at parity or like you're ahead, this card's just bananas. But if you're behind, this card like gets much worse. It does upgrade your hero power, and it's very good against like in like control mirrors because your hero like each one of your hero power activations becomes a massive threat. It's kind of like Justicar in that sense. Like you play it, and then your hero power is like very problematic for your opponent. They have to like expend cards to like deal with it. So I think this is a card that gets like much better the slower the metagame is, because the lifesteal is kind of deceptive on this because you have to use your face also. So like you just kind of negate like what life you gain anyways, depending on what you're attacking into. But I mean, like Paladin's just such a strong class anyways. This is just gonna see play, but I think it's just a little bit worse than like what people are giving it credit for. But it's still a fine card.
So
I love him.
I got a quick question here because it just as hero power when it says hero power summon a 2/2 horseman. If you have all 4, destroy the enemy hero. So they're going to be different horsemen, right?
Yeah,
4 horsemen of the
it's like
apocalypse.
like-
common hero power, I think.
It's like the shaman, okay? Because some people have been talking about like throwing out some pandas and throwing them back into your hands so that way you can kind of like OTK them over a 2-turn. I don't know how well that would work out, especially if you
Yeah.
get random.
Or you
It-
could just like play Tyrion or Rag and just win.
It also
That
that
way.
doesn't work. They're 4 individually named tutus.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yep.
that would be harder than I would.
It doesn't. It's not a thing. It doesn't work. It's like
Yeah.
winning by going Akanai Reno.
I mean, I'm playing it in Wild with Garrison Commander 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Garrison
and-
Commander, Auction Master Beardo. Oh yeah, this is happening.
And Burgley Bully.
Yeah, save up some coins.
Yeah. It's.
There you go.
I mean, this is so. A lot of the Death Knights are just Justicar, right? This is just a fixed Justicar, and so I do think this is closer to a 10-point life swing than a 5-point life swing because negating the damage that your weapon does to your face is significant in Control Paladin. Being able to remove something for essentially free, it's similar to Violet Illusionist and Fool's Bane, right? You played that because you dealt damage, you didn't take damage. So I think late game, this is a Control Paladin card. You're not going to see this in a mid-range deck because the mid-range decks, they play individually significant threats for the entire game, and when they run out, the hero power is not going to be able to save you because you don't do anything in addition to the hero power. You do make 2/2s with urgency to them, right? They're bigger threats against control, and also if your opponent is ahead on board by a little but not by a lot, or ahead on life by a little and not by a lot, they still have to trade with the 2/2s. And so I think what's relevant about the second sentence in that hero power is that they're 2/2s with a soft taunt, that once you have 1 or 2 of these in play, your opponent is compelled to trade with them instead of dealing you damage. It gives you more time. So if time is a resource that you need, then this is where you want this card, in that it generates time in all kinds of different ways. I don't think it should be viewed as a win condition. It should be viewed as a really powerful not lose condition. But I agree that if you're going to hero power 4 times, that's a game you're going to win anyways. Though
I think it should be viewed as like a more expensive Ragnaros Light Lord.
Yeah. Though a way to look at I do think it's relevant that you hero power 3 times and then you take your 4th turn, then you win. You don't have to like end 4 turns. You have to do this 3 times and none of the things die. Still almost impossible, but it's on the 4th turn, not after 4 turns, which is a little bit different.
All right, we're all pretty much on the same. I want to get to Blackguard here. This is another Paladin card. It's a 6-mana 3/9. Whenever your hero is healed, deal that much damage to a random enemy minion. So all of us pretty much had it on high marks except for Appa. So I'm gonna kick it over to Appa because I think we're all 7s and an 8.
I don't get it.
Okay.
Okay.
So that was
Or
Convince
3.
me that it's good.
Cora, sell
Okay.
it.
So 6 mana vanilla stat line is a 6 mana 6/7, which is 13 points. This is 12 points. So the stat line is pretty respectable. I think you'd rather have it be statted heavier towards health. So this is a beater through and through. And then whenever your hero is healed, do that much damage to a random enemy minion. So at worst, you have a True Silver equipped, you play Blackguard, you attack, and you get 2 random damage to an enemy minion. But it can also be slightly targeted depending on how you have already cleaned up their board state and whatsoever. Best case scenario is stick a Blackguard and like Forbidden Healing and remove something completely different, like something crazy, in which case Forbidden Healing is not only life gain, it's also some sort of a tempo swing. So I see this as a minion that is decent on its own and has potential for incredible upside, and in the Paladin class in particular, I think will be really great.
And in regards to the body too, like 6 mana 3/9 doesn't threaten a lot, but that 9 health is really, really difficult to remove unless you have like Shadow Word Pain or a Bookworm, or just some hard removal. And like the Priest of the Feast at 3/6 shows just how hard, how difficult it can be to remove something with a huge butt. Like
Well-
9 is enormous.
Yeah, so 9's enormous.
Can,
But
can I make
so,
a butt
like-
joke? Can I make a butt joke?
Sure,
Oh
Hat.
my God, Appa, look at that butt. It's a 9.
it says 9, yeah.
That's big.
That's,
It's so big.
whenever you don't have healing, you're paying 2 mana for +3 health. That's what you're doing here. So my problem with this card is like, you're playing in Paladin, right? Like, this card, because of its text, it wants to be in a control Paladin. I don't understand where this is fitting in control Paladin, because it doesn't have taunt. It doesn't like immediately impact the board unless you already have a True Silver up, and then like you're on turn 6 trying to deal 2 damage to something random while you're attacking with True Silver already, which like could even hit the thing you're attacking with True Silver because of how the triggers work in Hearthstone. Like best case scenario is like 6 mana, play this. They don't kill you immediately, and then like you Forbidden Healing for 14, and then like, or like you attack Forbidden Healing for 14, and then like hit something. Like that's great, yeah. But like, again, we have to think about like averages when we're evaluating cards. A lot of like decks only play 1 Forbidden Healing. They only play like 1 Forbidden Healing. They very rarely play Lay on Hands. They play Ragnaros Lightlord sometimes, which you can't play immediately after this if you curve Blackguard on 6.
This would have to come down after Raglight Lord, so more like 9/10.
Yeah. So I view this card as like a win more card, honestly. Like I see it as like the effect when it goes off is powerful. If it like hits something, like if you're in like a mid-range fight or like a control fight, and like this effect goes off, it's powerful. But like I think more often than not, it's just going to be like a 6 mana 3/9, which I don't think is good enough on its own, honestly.
I gotta say though, like part of my rating this high also goes with the amount of lifesteal that has entered the card pool, and I think that's a big deal too, because then you have lifesteal minions that are going to trade, heal face, and then trigger Blackguard to just create quite a number of effects that can create a lot of positive tempo on the board.
So I want to be wrong about this card because it's super cool and I like the effect a lot. Everything about this card to me just screams like win more. We don't need this. We have like enough Paladin tools already, which is like again like a problem with evaluating these Paladin cards. It's like we already have like amazing decks that like don't really need much.
Yeah, the biggest issue I have with this card is at the same mana slot as Sunkeeper Tarim and Spikered Steed, which are both... It's a dangerous place to be because you don't want to glut your deck with 6-drop cards. But with that being said, I think I wouldn't want to think of this card as a control card because it's not. This card wants swing turns and value trading. It is a mid-range card, which means it is not a control card. This is Life Juggler, right? That's how you have to play it. It's not Knife Juggler, it's Life Juggler because...
So then it just gets like even worse if it's just in a mid-range shell. Like in Control, you play more healing because you actually play Forbidden Healing, but in Control you play Wicker Flame, sure. You very, very rarely play Lay on Hands unless the meta is like bananas slow.
You don't want big chunks of big healing because it deals damage to random minions. You want to spread that around. You want Wicker Flame, you want Corpse Taker, you want True Silver Champion, and any other small life gain effects that you can find. That's what you're looking
But
for.
then you're playing a 6-mana Ship's Cannon. It's just like a 3/9 vanilla Ship's Cannon for 6.
If you could guarantee your ship's cannon wouldn't die, and we talked about exploding bloatbat possibly being good, which I know that we didn't say that, but still, if 2 damage is a valuable effect, gaining it for free in a minion that's not going to die, I think has some incremental value. I agree with your assessment that in a lot of ways it is win more. I think 6 mana is a dangerous mana cost, but I think if you're able to play it in a deck that does small bursts of life, I think ship's cannon, if you could guarantee it wouldn't die, would be a very powerful effect.
That being said, they did introduce the Chillblade Champion, which is the charge lifesteal.
Yeah, the 4-mana
So-
3/2.
Yeah, it's
This also gets a lot better post Uther the Ebon Blade.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Actually
maybe that
fair.
way you can hit
Somebody in
face with
somebody in
Ashbringer.
chat pointed out Ivory Knight, which I didn't.
But then you don't want to play that and
I
Spike
would say
Steed
so.
and Tarim and
Yeah,
Blackguard.
that was
Play
also a
both.
counter argument that I was trying to get to.
You don't want to
Yeah.
play 6 or more 6 drops. I mean, you got Corpse Taker, which I think is going to be in every Paladin deck that you play Wicker Flame and Tyrion in. And a very intelligent and handsome podcast co-host said that Lifesteal is better than we think it is. And so I think there will probably be a way that we put it into our decks. I'm not sure how we do that, but I wouldn't be surprised there's a really annoying lifesteal or healing mid-range paladin that makes this card good. In Control Paladin, I think that you're right thinking about it, that there's too many tools already for controlling it, for controlling the board. But I think there's a world where this ends up being pretty close to the top of your curve with a couple cards above it, and you gain 2 life so often that you're able to chip away at your opponent's board. It's guaranteed to hit minions. So it's almost like a real big Flame Waker in some ways. It's not going to end the game for you, but it's going to get the game so far out of reach for your opponent. If they go wide and then you say nope every single turn while you're gaining life, you have to engineer your deck and the board state for it, but I think it's a possibility to hit. And once you hit that, this deck is going to feel super overpowered in terms of not being able to come back from that.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to say one last thing before we can move on to the next card. I do agree that if we can make our ship's cannon live, be super powerful, right? We're saying ship's cannon because we have True Silver Champion. It's just we run 2 of them, heals for 2, gonna ping for 2. My thing is turn 6 onwards. I think if you're playing against a more aggressive deck and you're picking off their wide board or whatever, it's very strong. But I think turn 6 onward against non-aggressive decks, pinging for 2 isn't effective enough to be running this card. But could be wrong. Again, I want to be wrong about this card, but I have it rated pretty low. But I think it incites some good discussion.
All right, and the third and last one for the Paladin, we have a 2-mana Desperate Stand spell. Give a minion Death Rattle. Return this to life with 1 health. So I think it was just Cinder and I that had it rated higher than the rest.
Yeah, I had it at a 5. Yeah, Core's got a 6 too.
Oh, there we go.
It's just
It's
a targeted redemption.
Yeah,
It's pretty
I
good.
mean, Paladin has a good number of sticky minions, and if you have a lot of Divine Shields, it's a valuable tool. It's not great, but it's not bad.
I'll see some use.
It's so
Sorry.
it's like a redemption.
Yeah.
That was my immediate parallel comparison. It's different because it's targeted and your hero power doesn't get in the way of it. So I think it's more akin to Ancestral Spirit. But I think it's harder to abuse this in Paladin. I could be wrong though, as opposed to Ancestral Spirit. Because in Shaman you have Earth Elementals and really good cheaper Death Rattles. You have Tyrion and stuff, and you usually want to play Ancestral Spirit when you're playing Control Shaman, the turn you play your big minion.
Yeah.
So this is this is not a cheap card at all. This is a very expensive, very greedy control card.
Yes.
So if you compare it with the Tyrion on 10 or something, or I don't know, whatever else that you can get value out of, it's awesome. But I don't know. I could seeing some play on a very, very greedy control paladin, but outside of that, I don't really see it seeing play much.
Crusher
but,
Paladin.
What?
Crusher Paladin.
Oh my God. crush your paladin. But like even then, we already have like bananas paladin control decks that are like pretty much filled to the brim with cards.
If you need Tyrion to make a card good, that just means Tyrion is good, right? Like that's what that means.
Yeah.
So it's different from Redemption because your opponent knows about it, and your opponent knowing about it is a really, really big deal. It's good with Divine Shield and Taunt on the same minion, but I don't know if it's really good elsewhere. If it's on a non-Divine Shield minion or on a minion that you've buffed, you don't get a ton back for your investment of 2 mana. So you have to be willing to get it back on your opponent's turn and have it do something. So on something like a Rag, they're going to be expecting it because you played it. So they know, keep the 1/1 back and kill the 8/1 Rag. By triggering this on your opponent's turn, you know they don't have a taunt in the way. And just by revealing it, you make it so much more vulnerable to devolve and hex and any other way to remove it that your opponent can have. Even something like Meteor. It's showing your hand makes Redemption a lot worse, and the effect is very easy to play around when you know what's coming.
So how about this, guys? Let's say you have this expansion. You see probably silence a little bit more. You think if someone silences your minion, let's say your Tyrion, and then after it's silenced, you throw this on it.
Then I hit you in the face and ignore your 6/6. Yeah, you get the ability.
That requires a lot of stars to align.
Yeah.
They need to silence it and then not kill it immediately.
Okay, so let's jump into this scenario. So we
don't need to stay in here. I was just thinking of an idea.
Got a lot of cards left, you guys.
It's a very slow response to a silence. Let's put it that way.
I think it's all right. I think it's okay.
All right. I feel good with that answer.
Somebody pulled me out before I went too deep.
Yeah, right.
Down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
We didn't need. I was just throwing out a hypothetical, like, because I didn't know if it came back. I guess it would have the death rattle again.
Yeah, it would.
Okay.
It's just a very
that was my
narrow
question.
Scenario.
Yeah.
Forward warning: if you pitch Appa a Hearthstone puzzle, he will try to solve it.
Oh,
I mean, it's
for
like
sure.
if they silence your first Tyrion, you just have Stonehill defenders to get 2 more Tyrions, right? So,
Exactly.
There you
like,
go.
who cares?
And then
Yeah,
it will
If
frozen
you give
clone
me a
them.
scenario, I am in 100%.
What you got?
What have we
All
done?
right.
Priest.
So let's go to Priest. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Shadow Reaper Anduin. We don't want to talk about the other legendary, but
No.
Shadow Reaper Anduin, we basically mostly agreed. How was a little bit more lukewarm, but all of us had high marks for it. It's the let me pull it back up here. It's the destroy all minions with 5 or more attack, and then the hero power is summon deal 2 damage after you play a card. Refresh this.
Yes.
So take it away.
All right. So first of all, I want to point out if this is your Raza deck, then first go ahead and name your deck Disco Machine Gun. You've earned it. Second of all, it's like Raza Priest. This card is not saving your Raza Priest deck. This card is not the reason your Raza Priest deck is suddenly going to be good, right? Like it is better than it was before. But not playing 2 Shadow Visions, right? Like I don't think this is the card that's saving that quote-unquote archetype, because that archetype lost a lot of flavor when you couldn't heal yourself to 30 for 6 mana. So, I love Raza, think it's a great card. I think that people will play this in a Raza Priest deck, and it will be better than it would have been if it wasn't in a Raza Priest. I think having 2 Shadow Visions and 2 Radiant Elementals and Lyra is better than that. Second of all,
Kazakus hat.
I like Kazakus. I'm just saying.
Free hero powers.
I know what the cards do. I know what they do.
Free.
I know what it does. Again, I want Disco
0 mana.
I want Disco Machine Gun worse than anybody, but it's like fetch. It's never gonna happen. So
You don't even go here, hat.
I just have a lot of feelings. So okay.
My dad, the inventor of Toaster Strudel, is gonna love this card.
We could Mean Girls for the rest of the episode, and I would be fine. We just need to discuss
the
if we're
Mean Girls
pivoting now.
podcast. I'm your host.
If we're pivoting now. Yeah. But anyways, so first of all, what happens if your opponent plays Sunkeeper Terran the turn before you play this card and it does literally nothing? You die. Okay? So the number of times you envision a world where your opponent has all these things that you're going to Shadow Word Megadeath and they're all going to die, it's not going to happen that often. Right? And yes, I said Shadow Word Megadeath, that's what we're calling it. Just like we have officially agreed to call Blackguard Life Juggler, we're making names, we're sticking to them. So I don't think it's going to kill more than one thing that frequently. If it does, you're really happy, but I think it's likely to kill one thing. That's pretty cool, and you gain 5 life. Second of all, the hero power, if you didn't play Raza, you're likely to get it 1 to 2 times a turn. Is that what you want to be doing with Priest? It kind of closes the game, it kind of controls the board, but I agree with Appa's earlier assessment, late game, 2 damage a couple times a turn is not what you want to be doing, and Priest, early on, does not put pressure on the opponent in a way that 2 damage will work like Steady Shot works. Because Steady Shot, it closes out the game because you're doing it the entire game. You get a free Pyroblast, you click that 5 times, but Void Form is going to take longer to do the same thing, and it's going to operate under the assumption that you weren't pressuring your opponent before you played this 8-drop and then started the next turn. So I'm curious about a tool with questionable board control when you play it, questionable board control after you play it, and questionable win condition that's out of line with the class identity. Yeah.
Okay, so I look at this and I see like the battle cry is relevant because like you get to turn 8 and like there are big minions on the board a lot of the times. Like if you live at turn 8, if you're not playing against Fire Warrior, if you're playing against any deck that doesn't kill you before turn 8, there's probably going to be relatively large minions on the board. So like the battle cry is relevant. It's like not really good enough to be like 8 mana. But like a card that said just destroy all minions of 5 or more attack would be like pretty solid at like a little bit of lower mana cost. And then it just like it upgrades your hero power. Because like at that point in the game, like when you're late in the game, like your hero power is just bad as Priest. So 2 damage is fine. 2 damage to a minion is like not great because the minions are all pretty chunky. But Shadow Reaper Anduin, if they're above 5, if they're not the dreaded 4 attack slot against Priest, then Shadow Reaper's probably going to take care of them. Or you're going to like Dragonfire the smaller ones away. Frequently, as I'm playing Priest, I'll play against like Evolve Shaman or something. Then they'll wait till later in the game, like try and exhaust my resources, and then I'll go Doppelgangster Evolve. I'll have a bunch of like 5, 6 attack minions. If I was Shadow Reaper Anduin after that, the game would just be over. It's just like an 8 mana, like I just rashed them. I cleared their board, and then I can just like deal with whatever they play after that. Void Form is fine. It's not great at like closing the game, but it's just a little bit of an upgrade to like the Wrath effect that Anduin brings. I view this as like kind of goes in like the Medivh slot. Like it's not like a win condition like on its own, but it like supplements you starting to end the game. Like begins to get you a little bit of incremental advantage and like pull you back into a game that you were like a little bit behind in. But that's just my assessment. Like it's not good against like aggressive decks. It's like it just seems like a recurring theme with Death Knights though. Like they seem better in like slower metagames.
I mean, they're all Justicar. So if you assume they're all analogies to Justicar, except in some like they change your hero power, their late game effects, instead of getting a 6 mana 6/3, you get a relevant class specific effect. So that's still the base that we're operating from, and Justicar was never good in any aggressive deck ever.
Yeah. I do think the Void Form power, Anduin's upgraded power is like actually pretty solid because like you can frequently like use it, play a card, use it again. Like 4 damage is like strong, like later on in the game. Like in mid range fights, like Jade Lightning is already very good. Just because like it can deal 4. Like it doesn't summon a Jade Golem obviously, but like 4 damage is fine. Past that, like, that's pretty much all I have to say about Anduin.
All right. The next priest card's the 4-mana spell Eternal Servitude. Discover a friendly minion that died this game, summon it. I think I just completely skipped over the discover portion, so I rated this lower than I wanted to. I don't think it's a 4. I would rate it higher since discover is part of that. I
also skipped over discover. I thought it was just like...
No, it's not random.
Wait, you guys thought this was just resurrect that cost 4?
Yeah.
I read it and I read discover. It did not process, and I was like, "This is a resurrect that's worse. Why is this?"
Okay, so I think we can kind of skip over that one then.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let's hear from Cora. Cora rated it a 9.
I am seeing this card as a companion to Obsidian Statue. Which is the new 9-mana 4/8 taunt, lifesteal, death rattle, destroy a random enemy minion. I think that card is phenomenal.
Yeah,
and if you can have more of that card for 4 mana, I think you're doing just fine. But even if you need, a Priest of the Feast, or you're probably still playing Primordial Drakes, I can just see so many uses for Eternal Servitude that make it so incredibly worthwhile. Plus, you can Shadow Visions it. Plus, you can discount it with Radiant Elemental. I think this card's insane. I think this card is so good.
And you get back Doomsayer if you want it. You can get back a 4/7 Blade Master. You can get back Lyra the Sunshard.
Yeah, it's just really,
it's having
solid.
Multiple legendaries in your deck.
It's a second chance for minions that your opponent thought they had already dealt with.
So again, I'm kind of going back on. I don't know why I just skipped over discover, which.
That's the important part for sure.
It's a good word.
Granted, if you have many minions that have died that game, you may not get the minion that you would like to, but I don't think that's disastrous. I think you're going to be running enough good options as a control priest that you're going to be pretty much okay whenever you play this.
Yeah, like having too many minions is not a priest problem. They usually run a few high-value stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the rogue. We have Lillian Voss from your opponent's class. Sorry. And then, what's the...
Lyra the Hollow. Yeah, we talked about Lillian Voss last week, did we not?
Yeah, we could probably skip over this unless, Corey, you want to say something about it.
Lillian's fun. Turn coins into spells that are better than coins. I think it'll be late.
It's a Yeti at worst. And then at that point, Yeti with upsize. Pretty good place to be.
And
not
razor
villager,
pedals.
but we'll take it.
Your razor pedals.
True, but then you'd have to run razor pedals if you're doing that. Now, I will say this.
Play the tutu.
Yeah, like I said Lillian Voss is good, not great. Like I have her at a 6. But we learned a couple weeks ago that we had trouble with cards that have like big random effects, and those tended to be better than we thought they'd be. So maybe Lillian Voss ends up being better than we think she'll be.
Like Cinder has coined like rogue hand trademark. So like this just like kind of smooths out your like miracle decks. Honestly, like it's just the deck lacks 4-drops anyways. And, like, if you need your coins and stuff for gadgets in turn, just don't play her. But if you don't, like, have any other, like, filter effects for, like, your garbage, like, 0-mana cards, when you don't... Like, say you have, like, a handful of, like, preps and, like, hallucinations and stuff, just play this. Just get a bunch of spells. Like, you just draw a bunch of cards at that point. Yeah. It's just, like, another filter effect for Miracle Rogue, and it's another 4-drop that you can just, like, kind of choose to play or not.
All right, so the other one is Doomerang, which is a 1-mana spell. Throw your weapon at a minion. It deals its damage, then returns back to your hand. We got to see this in the stream that they actually play the game in, so very interesting. I think we're all kind of in the middle range for this. I think we're 5s and 6. There's a 4. Appa's a little more lower on everything compared to everybody else.
Yeah, so I'm lower on these rogue cards because they're like such new effects, and they all look like they want to be like control-ish cards.
Mm-hmm.
And like it seems like they're trying to print like control rogue tools. But like I don't know if it's like control rogues there yet, but like I'm like I'm just like in the middle. I'm just like this card has the potential to be awesome, but I have no idea. Literally none. So like I'm just putting it as a 4.
I'm gonna put Valera the Hollow straight into Miracle Rogue with no other changes and be real happy about it.
Oh yeah, Valera the Hollow's bananas.
Yeah.
She's
I
sick.
I was under the impression that it was a conceal
Oh yeah.
for your dudes,
No. You
and it
have
just
stuff.
said, "Oh no."
It's a
Time
conceal
warp.
for your face.
Yeah. It's
Like
concealer.
it just makes sure you don't die, and then like gives you a little bit extra. It's like that's
It's like
mm-mm.
ice block plus you got 1 cold blood. How about 2
Yeah,
cold blood?
I thought, all right, Blizzard employees, if you're listening, if you've heard this podcast before, I feel like we've determined that taking extra turns is not okay. Can we stop, please? Let's stop taking extra turns. It's
Valera,
degenerate.
she doesn't give you an extra turn. Your opponent still gets their turn, but you do get immunity for a turn, which
She
allows
gives
you to
an
create.
extra turn alive.
Can you
Which in the
flare
combo
her?
deck is basically
You
an extra
cannot.
turn.
Flare says
Ooh.
minions.
Yes, Flare's
This is
minions.
disgusting.
Yeah, that'd be
So
awful.
unfair.
Oh my goodness, Hunter
I mean,
would
this is.
suddenly
I mean,
become
it's
relevant.
literally uncounterable. There
This
is not a
card
single
has-
card in the game.
Mind
Uh,
blast. Mind
Rag shot.
blast.
In
Okay,
standard,
okay, yeah, okay.
reasonably, if we're being reasonable, in standard, this card has literally no counterplay whatsoever. In terms of them being able to interact with your face when you play this.
Just brawl
play
riding.
this.
That's the only thing I can think of.
You play this, you're getting to turn 10 with that card in your hand.
Yeah. Oh, there's a good point in the chat. She dies to Paladin Death Knight. She dies to the 4th Horseman,
Yes, the 4th
Okay.
horseman.
which I'm sure will come up a lot. So it's Valera the Hollow. I wouldn't view it as taking an extra turn. I'd view it as guaranteeing you get the effect from this minion at the cost of like your current turn is delayed, but when you go the next turn, you're taking a one-way trip to Value Town. It just takes a turn to get there.
So I say it's an extra turn because like you draw the card and stuff. Like you take your turn 9 off, but you're just guaranteeing you're like getting the card from her. Like you're getting the benefit plus you're drawing an extra card, and you're like guaranteed not dying because we don't have Ragnaros unless you're playing against Tom Warrior, which is possible. Nobody plays Bind Blast. Like let's be realistic. So like that's why I say it's like getting a quote unquote extra turn, even though like you're not really like taking an extra turn. You're just like guaranteeing you're getting there. But that's very powerful in a combo deck. Like guaranteeing you're getting like the benefit plus like getting to turn 10. Like that's why Ice Block is like such an issue right now, because if you're not playing Eater of Secrets, you're just getting that turn after they pop you. Like they get to develop, but it doesn't matter if you have fireballs. Like they're dead.
Yeah. And also, if you vanish, you get 3 Arcane Giants.
Hee hee.
So what's the shadow so each time
Oh, so the passive hero power. You get a card in your hand as soon as you play this, including the turn that you play it. It's a card called Shadow Reflection. As soon as you play a card, it becomes a copy of that card. But as soon as you play another card, it changes. And it resets the beginning of each turn. So if you play a backstab, it turns into a backstab, you can play it again. If you play a counterfeit coin, it turns into a counterfeit coin. If you play a prep, it turns into a prep. But if you play another spell after that, it turns into the other spell, it doesn't stay the second prep. So you can't prep something twice. You can play prep twice in a row, but then you're prepping twice in a row.
So this is built to be a combo card, just like
Yes.
by its nature. My issue with that is that rogue cards that have been built to be combo cards have been issues in the past. Like
Yeah.
we just had this.
In the
Well,
very
You got
recent
rid of
past,
conceal for a reason.
Yeah. It's, to be fair, they only rotated out Conceal and then nerfed Crystal Core and then printed Valera the Hollow. Now, it does cost 9. It doesn't cost 1, which the last 2 did.
You do have to get there, but I am a very big opponent of cards that you have to kill them before they play it. I dislike those cards with just severe intensity. That kill them before they play it, or you probably lose. I hate those cards, and this seems like one of those cards.
Yeah, I'm really worried about being bad for the game, but God, I want to play it so much.
Oh,
It'd
me
be
too.
fun
I
to
want
play
to
it.
play it and just do degenerate things
Yeah.
and just like have a bunch of fun, like just
The
laugh super hard. But like this card seems very dangerous.
yeah, the dirty rogue main hairs on the back of my neck are just standing up every time I see it. It's like, I want this. Give it to me. Give it to me now.
All right, shall we? I meant to say Valera the Hollow. And then that's why.
Oh, you were gonna
mentioned-
try and hold us back. That's adorable.
Yeah.
I will say Doomerang as well with Shadowblade is really cool because you play that's the 3-mana 3/2 weapon that gives you immune. You play it on turn 3 and you smack something with it. Then turn 4 you hit something and play it again and you become immune again. You hit it again. That's 9 damage, 2 minions over 2 turns, and you get the immune and the charge back. And 3-mana 3/2 weapons are good enough to play anyways because Rallying Blade almost always doesn't hit anything, and Eaglehorn Bow almost always does not get buffed, and they're both good enough. And the only 3-mana 3/2 weapon that has not seen play outside of Deadly Fork, because that was inside a Deadly Fork, was King's Defender, because that was the class that already had Fiery War Axe. So otherwise, 3-mana 3/2 is good enough to see play, and Doomerang with that card is good at controlling the board pretty actively without you taking damage. It's proactive defense.
All right, so we're gonna try and we're getting later in time. I do want to get through these. So if someone has something different and we all generally alike, we'll have that one person kind of speak, and instead of, I mean, we all agree on this one basically. So, the next one is roll the bones, which is the 2-mana spell. Draw a card. If it has Death Rattle, cast it again. I think Cinder was the only one that really had a
high-ish.
High-ish.
It's 2 across the board. Cora gave it a 4. I gave it a 5. Because there's an interesting dynamic with this card. Because if you have a Death Rattle rogue deck, which boilerplate does not exist yet, but if you have a critical mass of Death Rattle minions, and you draw into a bad hand, like you don't have minions in your hand, that means there's even more of them in the deck than normal. So you have a higher chance of like getting a big refill into your hand the worse your start was. That's a unique effect that I haven't seen before. Like it's just so if you're good, if you have Death Rattles in your hand, you're able to play on curve. Well, no problem. You don't need to roll the bones. But if you need to catch up in card advantage, then roll the bones may actually work for you. But yeah, right now it is effectively a dead card at the moment. But I see the potential.
There are reasonable Death Rattle minions that you can play in Rogue and that people do play already. Undercity Huckster, Aya Blackpaw. You can play the 4-mana 1/1s that Death Rattle. That would be in a N'Zoth style control Rogue deck. But I can see has a niche. Yeah, Jade Swarmer. It has a niche that it can fit into. And you can always just prep it with a gadget on the board and draw a couple of cards.
At worst, it is awful. 2-mana draw a card, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. I mean, it's bad, but it's not
good.
It's not good, but I mean, there are worst case scenarios. I mean, you could mimic pot into a counterfeit coin.
I mean, at least you're not losing health with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
it's worse than Quick Shot, but still not terrible.
All right.
I just worry about having spells in your deck because you're a rogue and then drawing one of those instead. Like, I think the chance of drawing more than 2 cards or more than 1 card with this is low enough that I wouldn't want to waste the opportunity cost on playing it.
I kind of compared it when I was reviewing it to like Wrathion. Like,
yeah, similar. You were never going to draw more than 1 card off Wrathion.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Shaman. We have a couple to go over here, so I'm going to call on individuals for this. Snow Fury Giant, which is an 11-mana, well, originally 11-mana, 8/8. Costs 1 less for each mana crystal you've overloaded this game. So I'm going to call on Appa for liking this one.
So this card I think is actually pretty reasonable. It's like not fantastic, but I'm rating it higher than the other host did because they don't like Control Shaman apparently.
I love Control Shaman.
So this goes in like
Shaman.
it's just a Control Shaman card. Like it can either go in like a Crusher Shaman deck. It gets better after you play Earth Elementals and like run those out with Ancestral Spirit or like whatever. It makes Crackle a better card. No, not Crackle. Stormcrack, sorry. Stormcrack is a fantastic card. It's a fantastic removal spell. You just like haven't had a reason to run it in a while. like ever since Totem Golem saw play. But this makes that better. Makes it like your dude costs one less later in the game. Volcano, you just like play overload cards just naturally in a control shaman. Like we've played with Arcane Giant and Control Shell. Like it's just a good card. Like the giant effects are just solid. And you overload more frequently than you think whenever you're playing Control Shaman. I think it's more likely to go into a Crusher Shaman deck with cards like Earth Elemental, and like bigger overload cards. And I think if this goes in a deck, you'll be able to play Stormcrack with it, not feel bad about it, just because it's such an efficient removal spell.
In Wild, I want to play Elemental Destruction with this guy so badly, it hurts.
Oh yeah, I'm for
Ooh.
sure doing that. Like on like tomorrow, that's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, could be more of a wild card than a standard card. I could see that.
Yeah.
Wild card!
All right. All right, and the
Horrible
next one.
arena.
Next one's Avalanche. It's a 4-mana spell. Freeze a minion. Deal 3 damage to adjacent ones. I'm gonna call on Hat for this one. As for not liking it as much as us. Right?
Yes. There's so much good AoE and removal for Shaman. I don't get why you'd play this one. Its existence is easy to play around. I think the meta generally shift towards individual large minions or wide boards of small ones. This doesn't kill the thing you target, and it doesn't freeze the things you don't. So you need to have a very particular board state. I think there are just better options here, and I think it's so awkward to use that you really have to hope that your opponent doesn't play around it, and you have to hope that things you target based on how they develop their minions are, it kills 2 things. Right, it has to be 4 mana kill 2 things. Maybe it will be, but it reminds me of Betrayal in a lot of ways, except you get an extra 2 mana for the freeze, and Betrayal doesn't see any play. So I just think
agree.
there are better options.
I value the freeze on it, like buying a little bit of time. Like maybe picking off 2 small things is fine. Like I rated that as a 5, which is like super middle of the road. It's the Dark Iron Dwarf level, which is just like it's fine. Might not be right for all metas. The Shaman does have like solid early removal, like Maelstrom Portal, Lightning Storm, stuff like that. It also has Volcano later on. But if you can isolate like 2. Like, this is pretty good against Pirate Warrior if you're playing with, like, Shaman. You can just, like, freeze 2 guys. Or freeze a guy and then, like, pick off, like, Raider plus something else. Again, it's very situational. Like, you can play around it. But
You're valuing the freeze effect of it, basically.
Yeah, I am valuing
Right.
freeze. I value freeze, like, relatively highly.
Especially with this new expansion coming in. Freeze for Shaman is going to be better, quote-unquote better.
Yeah, in a sense. But this, it just like buys you time, which I think is important as Shaman.
Yeah, I mean,
Cool.
if Shaman didn't have other really good wide removal options, I would like this card more, but you're competing with Jade Lightning and Lightning Storm.
Yeah, I just put it as super middle of the road because it's just another tool we have. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and next one here is 2-mana spell Ice Fishing. Draw 2 Murlocs from your deck. We're going to pick on Hat again here, which was, so you had it at 3.
Yeah, I
And
don't
the rest
really
of us,
know what deck wants to play this. Finja isn't as good and isn't even really that good at all when you're developing minions when you don't have specific sets of Murlocs. It was really, really powerful when you had double Bluegill, double War Leader, nothing else. The Finja 5. Very powerful.
Finja 5.
Yeah. But so when you're just getting random Murlocs out of your deck, I mean, we play that in Murloc Paladin. It's fine, right? But putting them into your hand at the cost of a 2-mana spell, which is going to draw you 2 random Murlocs and what is probably Murloc Shaman, its density of Murlocs for the cost of 2 mana doesn't seem super great to me. I could be wrong about that, but it doesn't seem super great to me. So
I think you're playing this card for very few, very targeted Murlocs. If you're playing Freeze, we're going to get to the Burlock. I think he's certainly something that you would want to target with this card. And also the Cold Light Oracle, if you ever want some form of card draw. So it's going to be Murlocs that you want to get the battle cry from, that you don't just want to be summoned off of Finja. Whether or not there are enough of those that are playable in Shaman, I don't know. But certainly we've still got Unite the Murlocs, which is a card that maybe with some more support would be good enough. I don't know. I like this card.
I actually think that the support is right there in the next entry, Burlock. The big problem with Unite the Murlocs was that you had to give up turn 1, so you couldn't play those really aggressive 1-mana Murlocs to start off your quest. But Burlock says differently. Burlock allows you to immediately at least answer your opponent's 1 play after you played the quest on 1. So that gives you time to trade. It gives you time to get a Righteous Blade on 3, or Rallying Blade on 3 to answer stuff on board. Like, this actually, I think, will give you time to develop a board and start chipping away at the quest. So I think by itself, meh, but Ice Fishing and Burlock together, I think, are going to be the pieces needed to at least make that deck playable. Maybe not competitive, but definitely playable.
Yeah, so I was going to go over Ice Fishing and Burlock together as well. So Ice Fishing is just like, it's a very powerful card. It says 2 mana, draw 2 cards. Like, the cards are random, sure. Like, so are Arcane Intellect's cards. That card's very powerful as well. This is 2 mana. You're also drawing like 2 minions for sure off of this, which is solid. The problem is that it's in Shaman, and that it's Murloc specific. The problem, and why Murloc Shaman has not seen play, like, the quest is powerful, sure, whenever you get it, like, to go, like, to function. The problem is, the reason Murloc Paladin has seen play and Murloc Shaman hasn't is the plethora of Paladin Murlocs on turn 1. You have Grimscale Oracle, you have Bilefin Inquisitor, and you have the one that grows.
You got Tidecaller.
Tidecaller. You have Tidecaller. So as Shaman, you just have Tidecaller, and that's it. And like, that's the issue with like Murloc Shaman, is like, you can't. The power from the Murloc decks comes from Rockpool Hunter, honestly. Like, yes. Rockpool is a disgusting Hearthstone card. Like, that card is stupid powerful. And whenever you curve a 1-drop into Rockpool, the game usually ends. Shaman doesn't really have like that curving option, which is kind of the issue with it. And Burlock and Ice Fishing don't really solve those problems, but they are very powerful cards. So I think it'll make the deck a little bit more viable. But yeah, I don't think it solves like the existing problems of the archetype.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So Warlock. We have Blood Reaver Gul'dan. Obviously, this is a Death Knight we didn't get to see on the stream because
he burned it.
So perfect.
Good job, Kibler.
Yeah. So you want to let's have Cora talk about this since.
So I'll read off the stat line for you real quick. Blood Reaver Gul'dan. He is the Warlock Legendary Death Knight. He costs 10 mana. Of course, you get your 5 armor, and his battle cry is summon all friendly demons that died this game. And the hero power then is 2 mana Siphon Life. Its hero power is Lifesteal, deal 3 damage. So it's essentially like you're getting the Druid hero power, but you don't have to choose. Because you're dealing 3 damage, and you're healing 3 life, and you're going to have to take damage from attacking. So the hero power in and of itself is phenomenal. And the Death Knight is essentially N'Zoth for demons. Then you have to think, are demons worth playing to get Blood Reaver Gul'dan as an effect? You have to take into consideration all of the discard mechanics to think, well, will I even be able to play Blood Reaver Gul'dan? But all in all, I think with some really nice targeted demons, I think this card is awesome. I really, really like it. I'm a big proponent of N'Zoth. I'm a big fan of large, heavy minions that take up your entire turn but do something absolutely insane to the board state. And I think that this guy is really freaking cool.
Hat knows I am a large fan of inevitability in control decks. And while we do have Jiraxis in Warlock, it hasn't been good enough lately. And this card is very, like, if you don't discard it, obviously. Like, sometimes you discard it. Sometimes you don't. Then you summon Lucari Fellhounds, and like, whatever else. Like, just the demons that Warlock has access to are pretty good.
Oh yeah, like there's people. It kind of makes me scratch my head. I had some people wondering, oh, but it doesn't have good enough demons. I'm like, hello. Let's see. The Fellhound is a demon, right? Am I wrong on that?
It
Or
is. Lucari
okay?
Fellhound.
So you have Lucari Fellhound would be an amazing resurrection. A 3/8 with no downside. Doom Guards would be amazing. I mean, even like the new, huh?
The 6-mana one, whatever it's called, Cabal Trafficker is fine.
She's
Trafficker
not
is
a
not a
demon.
demon.
Oh, that's right. She summons.
She's not a
She
demon.
Yeah,
gives
She
you
gives you
you
demons.
get, but
Wasn't it
Abyssal Enforcer.
Abyssal, yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that's
thinking of
6/6.
this 100% in Wild. Play it in like a
Ugh.
Reno Kazakus Death with Melganis, with Void Caller.
Yeah, that
That's
sounds
insane.
sick.
That's
Oh, man.
insane. You can get this down and get Melganis back, so you are immune then until Melganis is killed. Oh,
You're
this is
taking
gonna be
me to
so
value
so
town
good
right
in Reno
now.
Lock and Wild. It's gonna be insane.
Yeah, like it. Plus, there's another Warlock card that needs to be mentioned. I'm gonna skip ahead to it. Despicable Dreadlord. It's a 5-mana 4/5 that has a persistent end of turn AOE 1, and it's only to your opponent's minions. It's not the whole board like a lot of Warlock stuff is. So you get a slightly like a 1-mana premium on that AOE, but it happens at the end of every turn, and it is a demon. So it will come back with Gul'dan. So this is a boss card, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think this card's actually very strong. It like passes the vanilla test because it's 4-mana 4/5. Then like the one-sided whirlwind effect is more than 1 mana. It's 2 mana traditionally. So I think it's very strong.
It is a
I like
5-mana 4/5 though, not a
5
4.
mana.
Yeah.
No, I
pay a
mean, like,
little premium.
if we remove, like, if we take, like, the effect away,
Oh,
which is,
okay.
like,
Yeah.
1
Your
mana
netting
plus.
still about half to 1 mana,
Yeah, that's what.
and you get the potential for repetitive damage.
Yeah.
So
And it's only enemy minions too. So
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
I like that guy a lot, Despicable Dreadlord. I think he's really good. Gul'dan, I want him to be good so bad. But first of all, the value here is not in the N'Zoth effect alone, because it is not as good as N'Zoth. It might be good enough. The demons that you're looking at are probably Dreadlord, Doomguard, Void Caller, and Lucari Fellhound. It depends on the shell that you're able to build around this, but that is really what is the question about Blood Reaver Gul'dan. Can you build Control Warlock right now?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
everyone is convinced. I hope you're right. I miss Gul'dan. It is my most played class. I want him to be good. And the hero power might be better than the battle cry, because deal 3, gain 3 is absolutely silly.
that's
Oh,
It
yeah,
is
you can just
crazy.
summon Blood Queen Lanathel, too. She's a
It's-
demon.
Yeah.
She-
Lanathel goes in this deck for sure.
She
My
is
homie.
not a demon. She's not a demon.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
She's not.
She's
Not a
she's
demon.
quite no.
No, she's a
She's
vampire.
blank.
Yeah, not a demon. I looked. I actually have all the demons in front of me.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
lying.
she's not a demon.
Yep.
But
It's
if you're
a big old
playing
wire.
Fellhounds,
Man.
you want to play her anyway though.
well, and you want to play Fellhound because you need to get a taunt back. It's the only taunt you get back. You want to play Doomguard because it's Doomguard. You do get a decent effect with the Death Rattle. It may be enough to win you, or the Battle Cry. It may be enough to win you the game on its own. The hero power is. The question is, can you build a Control Warlock? And Defile is the reason you might be able to. And I really hope we can. And I missed Control Warlock. I still question if there's enough healing. I question if there's enough tools to control the board in the mid to late game. I question if it has enough defense against burn, especially Ice Block. It's
Yeah, the honest problem I see is Ice Block is just Mage. Like, Mage is just different podcast.
yeah.
Alright, moving on.
Yeah.
Warrior.
so
Warrior,
yeah.
we
I
have-
hope it's good.
We have Scourge Lord Garrosh. Let's move over to Warrior so I can pull up the. Where is it? Oh, yeah, it's the the Death Knight. The 8 mana Battle Cry. Equip a 4/3 Shadowmourne that also damages adjacent minions, and the hero power does 1 damage to all minions. So, are we kind of on the same path here?
Appa Hat don't like. You and I do. Cora seems ambivalent.
I do not like this card very much.
Okay.
I do not like it, Sam. I am.
Do you want to go first?
It's
Seth?
meh.
Meh. So I only see it. I think it's going to be quite good as a finisher for any Tempo Warrior. archetypes that come up, but it is not for Control Warrior and it is not for Pirate Warrior. So specifically within the tempo archetype, I think it has a lot of potential. But that's it. Like the weapon is crazy good.
It's for an archetype that does not exist currently in Warrior, and from experience, any warrior that gives up its armor up hero power suffers.
Yes.
And we've just seen, even in Taunt Warrior, sometimes you don't have the liberty of playing Sulfurous because you need 2 armor up every turn. And I don't think 2 armor is interchangeable for 1 damage to all minions. So, I don't know. Maybe it'll see some play, but I'm not excited about it.
Real quick before you start, Appa,
Okay.
my thought on it, I think Warrior was the hardest class for me to figure out just across the board. So his hero power doesn't do it for me. That compared to the other Death Knights. So that's my only comment. So go ahead, Appa.
So I don't think it fits anywhere, and I don't think it'll ever fit anywhere. I don't even think it'll fit into a Temper Warriors like a finisher. So where like the hero power, you use your Whirlwinds and Tempo Warrior to like gain early advantage, like get like Battle Rages and stuff off, like to like gain a mid-game advantage, like Armor Smith, Battle Rage, Frothing Berserker, those kind of things. So you're paying 8 mana for a 4/3 weapon. Like that doesn't kill anything at like on turn 8. And like the adjacent attacking adjacent minion effect like isn't actually that good. It like the hero power like doesn't do enough, and we already have like Malkarok, we have Garrosh, we have other like large mana cards that are just, in my opinion, like way better. Like this card is just very, very underwhelming and spent in my opinion.
Quick comment, Hat.
I don't really do those, but I'll try. Whirlwind isn't good by itself late game. It's not good against a lot of control decks. We have to assume most decks are going... If you're against a wider deck and you need a Whirlwind after turn 8, that's questionable to me. I just think I think the hero power is a significant downgrade, and I think the weapon is awesome, but I think 8 mana for this weapon is worse than paying 7 mana for Gorehel.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even want the hero power.
Yeah. I just want Gorehel.
What did I give this? A 4?
4 or 5.
No, I gave it a 5. Oh,
5.
no. What was I thinking? 2.
All right, and
Downgrade.
so we talk about Rotface and explain a little bit why it's a trap here. It's an 8 mana 4/6 legendary. Whenever this minion survives damage, summon a random legendary minion.
I'll let y'all go because I talk for forever.
Okay. Yeah, I could probably do this quick. So, word of advice: summon a random legendary is the biggest trap in Hearthstone. Do not fall for this. The average body is like a 4/5, and there is significant risk for a bad result. And if you spend 8 mana for a 4/6 and Lorewalker Cho, you have just lost the game more than likely. The tempo loss is tremendous. You don't want to do that. Yes, you can high roll, but you at 8 mana you need consistent board effects, not random legendaries. Anybody disagree?
That's a trap.
I totally agree. I'm refraining from going off.
Okay.
I'm going to play it. I'm going to love it. It's going to be great. It's going to suck, but it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, like if you want to summon random legendaries because it's fun for you, please do that.
It's like Confessor, right?
Yeah, Peltris. Yeah, think about it. It's Peltris all over again. Peltris was terrible.
Peltris was...
I beat Amnesiac on ladder with Peltris once.
Peltris was awesome if you got it off Golden Monkey and you were in a control mirror.
It's...
Well...
Peltris had its moments, but it was a 9-drop that you could guarantee would get a legendary, and then it was repeatable in a way that was good for you every time that wasn't in your opponent's control. Rotface is not any of those things.
They want you to play Rotface with the Warrior Death Knight, but ideally you would play Rotface and like double Whirlwind in the same turn, but he's also too expensive for that realistically, so yeah.
Well, we can talk about a good legendary.
Take it away.
In the Lich King. 8 mana 8/8 with taunt. At the end of your turn, add a random Death Knight card to your hand. All the Death Knight cards are pretty solid. It's like Ysera's little brother, except he like has a like he has a big body and he like hits really hard. He has taunt. So he's like different from Ysera. He like generates a card like every turn. He also interacts with your opponent.
I like the fact that they're different mana for the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, most of those Death Knight cards are bonkers.
Yeah.
Like they're really, really,
Frostmourne
really
is-
good. You're
I want
basically
that
playing
one.
trying to get Frostborn a lot of the
I
time.
want that one.
That's
so good.
Time.
I mean, I'm playing for usually Death Coil or Obliterate, I think, most of the time, but also they all have their uses, they're all high variety, and they're all incredibly powerful effects. I like that it's like Ysera in a very similar way, in that the cards don't have dependable effects, but they all have really powerful effects. And yeah, you're going to have a use for almost all of these every game, and I think actually the one that is hardest to play around is Anti-Magic Shell, because if you play Lich King onto a wide board and then you just have Anti-Magic Shell, you just whistle the old gods and just
good.
smack them in the face. That's kind of a unique effect, and Doom Pact also has a unique effect as well. They're all really powerful. They're all really, really good cards. And Lich King, 8 mana, 8/8 taunt. Appa talked about how difficult it was to build decks after the Hall of Faming of Ragnaros, because you couldn't just pick a neutral 8/8 legendary and just drop it in your deck. Well, those days are over.
Yeah, this is gonna go into like
A lot.
most of the decks.
Yeah, it's real good.
I think it's a little bit overrated.
Yeah.
A little
I'm
bit.
going to be the one to step out on a limb and say I think it's going to see a lot of play. And I do think the card is strong, but it is very similar to Ysera, right? And Ysera used to be fantastic in control decks because you had no other options. Even still, I think I'd rather have Ysera Awakens than most of the options from the Lich King.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of them.
I think the Lich King options are like generally worse than Ysera's,
Yes.
but you're also like paying a mana less for like the 8/8
Yes, and you
taunt,
get the taunt, which is really valuable. You can get it off of Stonehill Defender, which is insane. So it's a
Ooh.
really good card. I just
Didn't think about
I
that.
don't know that it's quite as good as everybody's making it out to be.
I agree. I think it's going to be very strong. It's going to go into a lot of decks,
Mhm.
but I don't think it's like the best card that like we've
Yeah.
seen in a
Yeah.
long time. I think it's just solid.
It's
It'll
just
be-
a good card.
It'll be really widely played, but I agree that even if it's being overrated right now, it'll still be widely played. But yeah, it is definitely not the best card in the set.
All right. What about his best friend Arthas? The
Aww.
4 mana 2/2 Death Rattle add a random Death Knight card to your hand.
Like we all said it was decent, except for Hat. Hat gave it a little 3.
Okay, so hold on a second. The show notes say Hat doesn't like Arthas. That is incorrect and offensive, even insulting.
That is
I love him.
disingenuous.
He is an agent of evil that loves tummy rubs, and so I love him. But if you're playing a 4 mana 2/2 in your deck that draws a random card that might not play with your game plan that you still have to spend mana for, why are you doing what you're doing?
It's a 4 mana 2/2 that is giving you a tempo loss that you're hoping to make up for with your Lich King card later on. But why would you just not get behind in the first place and play something stronger on 4? Is my opinion.
So the reason I rated it a 5. Yeah, I rated 5. My reason for that is like I've played bad 4-drops before for the purpose of playing N'Zoth. I played Infested Tauren like in a tournament before.
Oh
and
yeah,
it was
I'll
fine.
take this over Infested
Yeah.
Tauren every time.
Infested Tauren did give me a taunt, like when I played
Yeah.
N'Zoth, which was relevant, but like Arthas like also gives you like the card and stuff. So like I don't think it's terrible. It does have very obvious downsides. If you're playing against priests, forget about it. Just stay in your hand for the rest of the game until they play both
Yeah.
Power Potion of Madnesses.
Oh
Um,
god.
But
Oof.
like I think it's serviceable like N'Zoth decks. But it does have obvious downsides. So I think it goes in like specific decks. But it's not going to go in like every deck.
Agree.
All right.
Yep.
Next card here is Darakai or
Drakari.
Drakari Enchanter. It's a 3 mana 1/5, and at your end of turn effects trigger twice.
Okay. I rated this highly, and so did Cora. But I'll let Cora explain. But I'm just going to rattle off a couple of the minions that have end of turn effects that may be relevant. Despicable Dreadlord, which does the 1 mana AOE. Mana Tide Totem, draw 2 cards instead of 1. Lich King will give you 2 Death Knight cards. Ysera will give you 2 Death Knight cards. Happy Rag will heal you for 16 if you have this on board. So there are some really serious implications for this card. I don't know where it goes in the meta, but I think the possibilities are quite large for certain cards. Cora.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's a big upside card. If you can get it to stick, the value is absolutely insane. So the stat line is almost inconsequential, except for the fact that you want it to live. In which case, 5 health for 3 mana is all right. I don't think you're ever really going to be playing this on 3 unless you're desperate, but I can't think of anything on 4 that comes down and really benefits off of this. So
Yeah.
it's a high risk, high reward card. I think if you're playing a really incredibly greedy deck, then you can make this card work. But against any aggressive decks, you got a 3-mana 1/5 and
Yeah, no, this is definitely for like. Oh, I mean, Yashiraj is going to go in Big Druid for sure. Like,
Yeah.
it's a card that it's a value card. Like, and
I
it's
think this is going in Big Druid.
maybe
What?
You listed
the only card it works with in that is Yashiraj.
Yeah.
okay,
False.
maybe not.
You play Ysera in Big Druid. Let's
Okay.
be real.
okay.
I don't do that either.
Well, Big, you could
okay.
play. I mean, Lich King's going to go in Big Druid too, right?
But it's I don't need my
Probably.
Lich King to trigger twice. I play Lich King for the 8-mana 8/8, and like
My point exactly.
Yeah.
This is like the absolute epitome of a win more card. And let me say this just like for the last time. Just like for this podcast. 1/5, not good stats.
No.
Better
You
than
don't-
Silver
you don't
Battle
play it
for
Patriarch,
5.
bub.
If you
Ooh.
play a 1/5, I'm gonna kill it and then have all of my minions live. I might trade off the patches and be like, whatever, it was a free card. Just trade it in anyways. And it's just a 3-mana 1/5. Like, again, it could go in like super greedy decks. Like at that point, like, why are you playing this card? Like, not something else enormous.
yeah, like
I don't
Ultimate
know, like-
Infestation.
I think this card is like super fun, but I don't think it's very good. I have it rated as a 2. Like, that's Amgam Rager levels right there.
I mean, I think it deserves this card is probably not good enough at what you want to do, and I think the comparison card here is Baron Rivendare, which was fun with Dreadsteed, and may we pour one out for our homie. Rip in peace, Danksteed. Feels so bad. But comparing to Baron Rivendare, 1 attack, big butt, didn't do anything most of the time. I think we've got a comparison. And Cinder, all the cards you listed, they're all in different classes, and most
Yes.
of them cost 8 or 9.
Yes.
So
It is definitely you don't play this for the stats. You play
No.
this for like the value spike after a big play.
it's fun, and I think there may be a point where enough cards are printed with the end of turn rider that this is worth playing. But I think it reminds me more of Spirit Singer Umbra or Baron Rivendare.
I think we can just gloss over these next ones, honestly. Like, we just got,
Yeah.
like, a lot of these cards in the set that were spoiled were slower cards. And I think that's important because, like, aggro's just been good enough, like, just basically in general for a while. Like, Pirate Warrior doesn't need anything else. Evolved Shaman doesn't really need anything else. Face Hunter's fine. It's, like, medium. But we got Happy Ghoul. We got, how do you pronounce that?
Arcturus.
Arcturus veteran.
There's actually no R. It's Acherus.
Oh, it's
No,
Arcturus.
there is an R.
No R.
No, there isn't. It's ACHER.
Acarus?
Oh,
Acarus
Acarus.
veteran.
Yep.
Okay.
We have Wretched Tiller, which I think is actually sleeper, like one of the best cards.
Yeah,
in
it's
the set.
great.
And then we have Fallen Sun Cleric.
Can we talk about Wretched Tiller for a second?
Yeah.
Sure.
What happens when you draw it on turn 6?
Then it's terrible, like every other aggro card that you play in your deck. That's
Leopard
like
Gnome wasn't, and I
really
think
good.
Acherus Veteran isn't, and I think that Abusive Sergeant wasn't, and Argent Squire wasn't. I think it's
I
so
think this
much
is-
worse not on turn 1.
I
Hold
think
on a minute,
I think
31.
it's better than Leper Gnome on turn 1, like which is the opportunity cost of playing it. But you're also like just like mulliganing hard for your 1-drops on turn 1 as an aggro deck. So like if you draw it on turn 6, like sure, like I don't care, like it sucks. That's fine. They also
It's-
still have to kill it.
I'd
They
rather
also
just
still have to
play.
kill, like,
Yeah, I wouldn't put it in.
I'd play the 1-mana 2/1 that deals 1 damage to both players, Emerald Reaver. I play that over Tiller most of the time. I think
Reaver. Mm.
I
because you're guaranteeing the damage, and the 1-mana 2/1. It's the first attack is the same amount of damage, and then you can't really assume it's going to live for more than 1, and it's a better top deck.
I think that's just like hedging like a little too much. Like if you play against a deck, like say you play against Mage and you play Retrotiller in one, they're gonna either have coin or hero power like every time. So they're gonna like do that and deal with it. Then you just follow up with like whatever else. But like if you're not playing against those decks, then you play it and it's gonna deal 2 damage, and then they have to react to it. Or it's gonna deal 4 by turn 3. Which is like very, very powerful. Like 1 mana, 4 damage by turn 3 is nuts.
Well, plus the attack on the body itself. So I mean, each attack is actually dealing 3 damage, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
so actually it's 6.
Yeah,
you
so
can
like one
guarantee
dude
it
hitting
on
for
one.
6.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like it's a very high like risk card, which you just play in aggro decks just in general, because like your decks are just kind of risky. Like if you draw like your mid game, like if you play Pirate War and you draw like 3 and 4 drops, you lose that game like almost every time. But like if you draw like your 1s and 2s and stuff, like you curve, like it's really, really good. And like if you draw this on 1 in an aggro deck, which you're mulliganing hard for, which we've done on previous shows before, like if you mulligan hard for this, like 50% to hit it, if you don't see it in general, like in your mulligan, like I'll take a 50% to play this on 1, like against decks that like aren't Mage or good.
I could see it. It's just it's so bad in a Patches Firefly meta, and against other aggro decks, it's a mulligan, right? It's just a dead card. So I would have to it would have to be unbelievable against control cards to justify its inclusion as really, really bad against most aggro decks, and I could see that happening. But also the control decks have to not be able to deal with it, and you have to draw it early, and you have to not be playing against Firefly or Patches or some other form of early removal. So maybe. I think this card is being overrated.
I do think Fallen Sun Cleric is super good though.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think
there's a bunch of
I think
snowbally
it's-
cards in the
Yeah.
set, so it's
Like the bodies are fragile, which I like because aggressive decks don't need chunky bodies. We've learned that with Aggro Shaman. That stuff sucks to
Rock
play against. But Fallen Sun Cleric is just like a weaker Rock Pool. And like
Yeah.
that's fine. Like 1 drop into Rock Pool is just gross.
All right, shall we do some rapid fire questions here? Get everyone's feel on these questions here. All right.
Sure.
So best non-Lich King card in the set. We'll go with Cinder.
Gul'dan.
Non-Lich.
Yeah,
I
as in
guess
not the Lich King.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Or the Lich King cards.
Right.
All righty. Appa.
Can I pass and come to me last? Because I don't
Sure.
have the list. Sorry.
Pat.
I think the best card in the set, period, not the best non-Lich King card, is the Paladin Righteous Defender, 1 mana, 1/1 taunt Divine Shield. I think it is
Yeah.
the actual best card in the set.
Pretty good.
And Cora.
I'm gonna say Obsidian Statue. I'm really excited for that card.
That's a good one too.
Really excited for Priest to get that card.
And
okay.
Appa.
I think I actually need to change my rating on this card because the more I think about it, the more Thrall Deathseer is bananas.
I love Thrall
He's real
Deathseer.
good.
That card's just a Bloodlust. It's just Bloodlust number 3. And it's like an evolve you can play when you don't have Doppelgangster. You just get to cut Sea Giant out of your deck, and you just get to curve into it on turn 5 literally every time if you have any semblance of a board. And then it just like presents this massive problem for your opponent. It goes in Evolve Shaman specifically and literally nowhere else.
But it already fits into an existing
Yeah, but
archetype.
it just slots in the deck perfectly, and whenever you draw it, I'm sure your win rate's going to go up like a just ridiculous percentage. Other than that, I agree with Pat on the 1/1 or the
This is a
what's the-
quick
what's the-
fire
This is a
question.
rapid fire question, Appa.
what's the penguin?
Snowflipper
Snowflipper
Penguin.
Penguin.
I want to point out that is my only 10 in the rating scale. I gave it a 10 out of 10.
It's broken.
It's off the cuteness
Sure.
radar.
I like talking. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
All right, we just have to remind you. That's all. If I was gonna take what Cinder was gonna say, so I'm gonna throw out I completely flipped this around. Eternal Servitude is pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, it's good.
But I was gonna say the other Death Knight. So, second question: best Death Knight hero.
Hey, I answered that already. You're welcome. I just consolidated time.
There you go. And I think Cinder did too. So, Hat.
My heart is saying Valera, but my mind is saying Uther.
And Cora?
My favorite's Uther.
Yeah, I was
Nobody's
gonna
gonna
say
change that.
I do think Gul'dan's the best card aside from the Lich King, just because of what he does for Warlock. But the best Death Knight is definitely Uther.
I actually really like Jaina. Not gonna lie. I think she's being overlooked a little bit.
I'm looking forward to Elemental.
I like Jaina.
Mage.
I just
Yeah.
think it's the problem of Mage plays 30 cards already. Plays like
Yeah.
35 already. So like this is hard. But like moving forward in a few months, like I think she'll be really good.
Yeah.
Like after stuff starts rotating.
But
All right.
Exodia Uther.
And what class won the set? "Quote unquote" won the set. We'll start with Cora this time.
Shoot.
Bang.
Priest.
All right. Hat.
Actually, I really like the Priest cards. I think Priest got some sick cards. Some lazy cards, but some really good ones too.
And Hat.
I think Warlock got the best overall cards. It remains to be seen if they will be good enough. I think Paladin is the best case of the rich getting richer.
And Appa.
Agree with Hat.
All right. And Cinder.
Also agree with Hat.
All right. We're kind of agreeing on that.
There you go.
And then the last one here, new archetype you see developing. Archetype. We'll start with Hat this time.
It's going to be in Wild. It's going to be Mono Cute because Snow Flipper Penguin finally gave me the additional cuteness I need to go with Tiny Fin and Cute Cat. And Arthas, who I'll point out is a big spike in the cuteness power level.
Mono cute.
Mono cute.
Also, wait a minute. The best class that won this set is Death Knight. It didn't have any cards before.
Womp
True.
womp.
Yeah.
There you
And
Poor monk.
new archetypes. Hopefully mid-range Demon Warlock. I'm gonna be optimistic about that. I don't know if it'll actually work, but I really hope it does.
Appa.
Yeah, control like a slower Warlock deck. Other than that, Control Shamans existed, but it hasn't been that great. I think it's a lot better though.
And Cora.
You could really hit Divine Shield Paladin in this.
I was gonna say that with hand buff, divine.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe
don't know.
there's something in there. I'm not sure, but you've already got Rallying Blade, so
Yeah.
more Divine Shields.
Well,
Bring
and
it
Corpse Taker is a Paladin card. Like the neutral 4 mana, it's secretly a Paladin card.
It's a Paladin class card that just they ran out of spots, so they had to make it neutral.
And Cinder.
Mid-range Demon Lock. I know, it's not very original.
I would say mid-range demon and that paladin. I want to try that paladin, but yeah, we'll see. We'll be completely wrong. We'll watch. It'll be like some shaman.
Freeze Shaman. Self-freeze.
Alrighty. So that was one epic show. This is a long of one I think Cora's been a part of. We've had one longer, but
Talk about a welcome back.
there we go. So let's go ahead and end this. Cora, since you're back, we want to hear a little bit more of your voice. Where can people send in their information, and who can we say thanks to?
All right, so as always, special thanks to Stefan L for letting us use his cover. You guys can check him out on his channel, which is linked in our show notes. You can catch our blog posts at coinconcede.com along with our show notes. I encourage you to check them out. We have everything we've talked about linked in there, so it's all in one place for you. Follow us on Twitter at coinconcede and like and share our Facebook page at facebook.com/coinconcede. Discord.coinconcede.com. There's a fantastic community in there, guys. I cannot emphasize it enough. I'm not part of it as much as I would love to be, but you can be. So make sure you hit up discord.coinconcede.com and shop.coinconcede.com, which didn't exist when I was here last time, but now we have shirts and stuff, and that's freaking cool. Big thanks to our producers, Veriatus and Sikamopko. Is that how we pronounce it? Psychmopko.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much. Shout outs, I guess. Appa.
Wait.
I didn't think about this. I don't know. Shout out to Discord community. Discord community is awesome. I love everybody in there. Y'all are great.
All right, and Hat.
Shout out to the Blizzard flavor text writers. You have made my set. Like, good lord, it's so good. Arthas is There Must Always Be a Lick King. But Lick King.
Lick King.
Yes. But I think my favorite, I am going to say this, I know we're running long, but Tainted Zealot, the love she shares seems to go nowhere. Now she's lost her light, tosses and turns, she can't sleep at night. It's tainted love, you guys.
Oh, wow.
It's
Oh,
tainted
man.
love.
Go.
I don't.
Where?
And now Cora's singing, it's like we're all home again.
What is tainted love?
Oh, God, you're a child.
Come on.
It's
You ever seen 13 going on 30?
No.
Well,
So he doesn't know.
it's a good thing I'm not coming back every week because we have problems.
Oh my gosh.
She'll be
Is that
back.
is that my homework? Is to watch that?
it's just listen to the song.
Or yeah, just listen to Tainted Love. It's a good song.
There you go. You'll know it when you hear it. All right. And Cora, any shout outs?
Shout outs to you guys for growing this podcast to heights that I never would have imagined it would reach.
Yay.
Yay, thank you.
Yeah.
I wish I had all the people from our Twitch chat in here. We had quite a few. So those that are still here: Apex Predator, Arctic Chill, Blackerot, Brosky, Caleb CV, C. McCumph, Drunken Monk, Hatch and Slash, Hikaidamix, Ionicata, Jasper, not Rob, we got Slaviticus, and Random Dude.
I think it's
Oh,
supposed
some
to be
random
like
dude.
Blackarot, like Kakarot, like a Dragon Ball
Like a rat. Okay.
And the many more that joined us, but were silent. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us this week. Let's go over our info here real quick. Oh, did Cinder? I'm sorry, didn't.
Skipped me.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to Kicked Tripod. You know him as John from Well Met. He posted on Twitter that he's taking a hiatus and unsure of where he wants to go with the podcast. But I just want to say, from one podcaster to another, you have put a ton of work into your product, and I will always respect you for that. And whatever you decide to do, I hope it works out for you.
Yeah, it's a temporary hiatus, I think.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So let's go over our contact information. Cora, let's go with you first.
All right. So you guys can always follow me on Twitter at songbird_HS. Follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/songbirdcora. I'm going for affiliate this month, so I've been streaming quite a bit more than normal. And I cast Hearthstone sometimes, so tune into a Hearthstone tournament once in a while, and you may see my face.
It's actually not that hard to find you. All right, and Ridiculous Hats. Where can people find you?
Just type that into pretty much any social platform you have, and I'm probably there. Twitter, Ridiculous Hat. Twitch, twitch.tv/ridiculoushat. Discord, just type my name and I will certainly appear. And I stream Monday nights and Thursday nights, so tomorrow will be a pack opening stream. We're going to open some packs. We're going to play probably Aggro Paladin because I'm boring and want Golden Paladin and want to play the best card in the set. But we'll see what happens.
All right. I want to check that out. Appa, what about you?
Follow me on Twitter, opera_HS, or on Twitch, twitch.tv/ophs. I am actually an affiliate now. I'm
Yeah.
getting Detrucci to work on my overlay and sub emote because I have one of those now. I also have no idea how I got affiliate before Cora. That doesn't make sense at all.
I don't stream.
Maybe they
Cool.
crossed the wires somewhere, and that's backwards.
You put in the hours, man. You earned it.
But I'm affiliate, so come stop by the stream. It's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday from noon to 3, and then on weekends whenever I feel like, I'll tweet about it.
Gotta have your weekends every once in a while. All right, and Cinder.
Twitter at Cinder Ascendant, and Twitch is the same. I will also definitely be opening packs tomorrow, and I'm really trying to be good about getting back onto my Saturday Sunday schedule. But life just keeps getting in the way. But we'll get there, for sure.
All right, and I'm at KCCO_gamer for both Twitter and Twitch. Yeah, I normally don't do Twitch, but I may do it for the pack openings. I like to record it anyway, just because Cinder just drops his jaw every time I do pack openings.
God, he's so good at it.
So we'll hopefully get some good luck here again. And good luck to all of you opening, and hopefully we're going to get this launched pretty soon, so you may be listening to this while you're opening packs. Hopefully. So last thing, I know that it's been a long time since Cora's said this and practiced this, but keep calm and chive on. And if you see us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
You have bested.
Choose death.
You win this time.
I concede. You win this time. Well fought. I concede. You win this one, Kit. The victory is yours.
I get it.